So we're back to our new regular time, Friday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys are doing well. This is KJ's What Happened, by the way, if you're not sure what you're listening to. I'm KJ, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you're holding up out there. I've got a lot of stories to show you this week, and some of them are dealing more with the aftermath of the most recent event. I still want to do a live show on that. I imagine I'll do that maybe this week. We'll talk more about the aftermath, where all this stuff is leading. Because it's really starting to become quite clear. The system doesn't want us to ever go back to normal. It's pretty obvious. Whatever normal was, right? But they don't want us to go back to that. And the ramifications of this event, they're going to be with us for a long time. It looks like this really is, in many ways, kind of the beginning of, of sorrows, if you want to put it that way. Kind of that season. But that's just what I'm picking up on. I'm a little disappointed myself. This was a shorter week. I did my last show 5 days ago. I usually like to have a video or two up between a show or another show and a video. But it's a shorter week. So my newest video, it's called Something Strange is Happening to Tom Hanks. It'll be up over the next couple days. And then I've got one about UFOs and your alien saviors coming up this week as well, with a lot of crazy footage. So I've been working on that for a few weeks. Anyway, enough about me, enough about my videos. Hope you're well. Moderators, thank you so much for being here. Patreon and PayPal supporters, thank you guys so very much. You have no idea. Just to really appreciate you. If anyone's interested in supporting my work, my videos, shows, interviews, whatnot, I've got links below. Also have a shout out to my sponsor for this show, and that's My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food supplies. I'm proud to have them as a sponsor because I bought from them twice already, and I still haven't opened the food. I'm really kind of waiting. That's going to be truly last resort type situation. I'm going to go ahead and use that, but it's good. I feel good having a little something on the side. So if you're interested, check out that link below. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. It's a lot of stuff to get into, man. Craziness, as always. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and get started, man. So here's the first story talking about aftermath. And I'm working on a video about the aftermath too, putting some stuff together. NYPD officers fan out across New York City to enforce social distancing. Good boy. This will be, in a lot of these places, they want this to be your new normal. They really want that militarized police state in action. They put it in place under Obama. He's the one that really militarized the police in America. And now it looks like they want us to get used to that, seeing your militarized police in the streets. And I always felt like that's just a way of kind of, it's its own social engineering or programming, just getting people ready to have any kind of authority in the streets around them, ultimately military, right? Many people might say the blue hats eventually. Anyway, let's check some of this out.
Out across the city this weekend to make sure that people are wearing masks and maintaining social distance. CBS 2's Marcia Kramer has this exclusive story.
You might say it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. The NYPD will be out in force at parks, beaches, and playgrounds this weekend to make sure New Yorkers don't get up close and personal with each other, that everyone observes social distancing.
We're past the point of warnings. This is a dangerous situation.
NYPD Chief of Department Terrence Monahan telling me that New Yorkers drawn out of their homes by the expected sunny skies and warm temperatures this weekend will see a large police presence, 1,000 cops, all 5 boroughs, to keep New Yorkers safe by trying to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Barbecues with large gatherings of people together, organized sports events, people hanging together trying to drink or something along those lines. We will be breaking these up. We will be actively involved. People who are just walking together, exercising on a blanket with their family, those aren't people we're going to bother. If they don't have a mask, we'll give them a mask.
Will you really arrest people?
If they confront us, if it becomes an incident, yes, we will. If it has to be, yes. I hope it never comes to that, though, Marcia. People should understand just how dangerous a virus this is.
The police enforcement action coming after Mayor de Blasio saw red following a funeral in Williamsburg this week that drew thousands.
In Williamsburg, that was completely unacceptable. Over 2,000 people gathered on the street.
Meanwhile, the mayor announced a plan to provide more open space by closing 7 miles of streets next week for pedestrians and cyclists. But he's stressing social distancing is the order of the day.
There's going to be a crackdown everywhere if we see gatherings.
And even though he's concerned about crowds, the mayor insisted he's going to find some way to celebrate July 4th. He wouldn't say how, but he promised.
You may remember there's a story, I'm pretty sure I covered it last week, in New York City, where the governor was talking about the same thing right here. You know, no more get-togethers, specifically targeting religions, but he was only targeting the small hats, if you will, and the Christians, because they were allowing, on the other side of town, they were allowing something to do with Muslim prayer or something like this. They're allowing them to be out in the streets and do whatever. I can't remember all the specifics of that story, but I remember that from last week vaguely. You can look that up if you're interested, but it's just another example of the hypocrisy. I mean, this really is honk honk. You know, we're really in circus world now, and it's quite a ride. I'll say it's quite a ride. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, we got kind of an early doom break. This is a bit of a doom break. Bike riding monkey in Indonesia, and check out what he does. He's riding a little motorcycle, but watch this little guy. Hey! All right, do it one more time. We'll play in a little 10-second spurts here. Wow, man. I mean, the monkey, look how little that monkey is, too. These things are strong. You may remember I did a video. It's on my channel. It's me feeding bananas to a monkey up in a tree, and it was in my backyard. The last place I lived in Costa Rica, I had around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, pretty much every day, you'd have just tons of monkeys running through the trees in the backyard. And so eventually I went out there and started trying to hand them bananas, and it worked out. You know, I never got attacked or anything. That was nice. But it was always the little monkeys that would come down and take the banana, with the big monkeys, bigger ones, on the trees around him watching him or her. It was pretty weird. But they never did anything bad, never hit me or anything. But just being around some of those big ones, you could see, man, just the muscles, and these things are strong. They can be vicious. One more time. But they can also be, you know, deviant, terrorizing, wicked little creatures as well. Man wears triple K hood while grocery shopping in California. Whoever would have thought this was a good idea? I have no idea. Check this out.
To remove the hood for over the weekend, a man shopping while wearing a KKK hood. It happened at this Vons on Mission Gorge Road in Santee. One shopper who took these photos says store employees told the man to remove the hood or leave. The images have sparked outrage online and from community leaders, including Santee's mayor.
I am stunned. Stunned because it's always sad.
It's probably him.
Somebody, regardless of what the reasoning is, resorts to putting any kind of symbol out there that depicts some kind of hatred.
Pictures like that are always shocking.
Tammy Gillies with the Anti-Defamation League of San Diego says the images are even more disturbing.
It's the mayor.
After the 1-year mark since the deadly synagogue shooting in Poway.
I think emotions are still raw, and people are struggling with the virus and with what's happening in our community, the divisiveness in the world. And I think seeing such a symbol of hate really at people's own supermarket, a place you would go, you know, anytime. It sends a message, you know, that type of hate really sends a message to the community.
It also stirs thoughts of Santee's checkered past when it comes to race.
I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Very hard over many years, and it's unfortunate that something like this, that one person's
I'm trying to turn it off. Yeah, there we go. What do you think about that, man? Would you ever wear your Triple K hood to the grocery store? Like the rest of us, you probably like to keep it indoors. Just kidding, folks. Calm down, okay? I don't have a Triple K over here. I don't even know if I've ever actually met somebody that claimed to be a part of that organization. You know, I just don't think it's really not as common anyway. And you know with Hollywood and movies and even in animation and TV shows, it's the go-to bad guy. You know, it's tiresome. It's always the NAZIS, isn't it? Always goes back to those people. Not that they don't deserve it, don't get me wrong, but it's like the world's become so politically correct that it's like, that's the only enemy it seems like we can have. That, or like, white Christian men seem to be another popular enemy, or just white Christians in general, really. And then just Christians in general as well. Crowds gather at Atlanta Mall to buy Air Jordans after lockdown lifted. What could go wrong? Why not, right? An Atlanta, Georgia mall saw massive crowds gather on Saturday with people lining up to buy the recently released Air Jordan sneakers after Republican Governor Brian Kemp lifted the lockdown restrictions. Shoppers formed lines that wrapped around the Greenbrier Mall on Saturday to own a pair of the newly released Air Jordan 5 Fire Red sneakers. A video posted to social media showed people waiting on a line to get in the mall and then on another line outside the shoe store, Jimmy Jazz. Let's see if we can see one of those videos. Excuse me. Jimmy Jazz. Only 10 seconds. Oh, look, it's a lot of people in front of Jimmy Jazz. Okay, we get it. Cool. Are you guys in your towns or cities, are they still locked down, or has there been a lift where you're at? There's a lift where I'm at, and I've been making sure to go. There's a couple little local diners here that are super cheap, and it's super close. You can get a nice plate, like nice breakfast plate for $10. I like that. I don't even like going out to eat very often. I like to cook and just kind of keep my own food, keep fresh food, like buy stuff, and then 3 days later go get some more, and 3 days later go get some more, just stuff like that. Usually fruits and vegetables and stuff too, But I've been getting out and trying to go to some of these local places, and it's been nice. It's definitely a little different. They're all wearing masks, and some of them don't have all the seating back in place and stuff like this. Some say it's always going to be this way now for their places. Some say they want to fully reopen. There's a little donut store right around the corner, and the lady over there was saying, I went over there about a week ago. She was saying that she's never going to have people indoors again eating there ever, that this is the way it's going to be from now on. I'm like, you serious? Like, I would think you would. Don't you want people in here? Don't you enjoy having conversations with people? You seem like a nice lady. She's like, no, it's not about that. It's just that she said business seems to run smooth this way, and she wants to keep everybody safe. It's just like, come on, man. So yeah, it's going to be interesting as we go on, seeing all the different reactions from people, what this is going to turn into. Hey, also wanted to give a shout out to, I'm not usually able to watch my chat while I'm doing this, but sometimes one of my moderators will let me know. So I want to say thank you to Elizabeth Sabroso and to Eli Vidales, Vidales, for the super chats, guys. Thank you so very much. And thanks, Effie, for letting me know. All right, China warns of possible armed conflict with U.S. over crown virus backlash. Here's a trend we've been watching here for a good month or so, right? We've been talking about where do we go next after all this, and that's going to be another one of those possibilities. Another one's the tune-up. Thank you, the tune-up. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Thank you all. But here's a trend we've been watching for the last few weeks as well, really developing. And are we on the verge of a WW3? Remember what Einstein said about WW3. He said World War III will be fought. Oh, wait. I'm totally screwing this up. I'm just going to jump ahead. Look it up for yourself because I'm not sure I'm saying it right. But I think he said, as put simply, World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. I think that's what it is. Einstein said, World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. I'm pretty sure that was the quote. I think it's a good one. Definitely puts things into perspective. We all get that, and especially those in the audience who are followers of Christ and who have an understanding of the Bible and specifically Revelation and eschatology, the end times. It's really not that far of a stretch to see that a lot of things have already happened. A lot of things are falling into place, and we're beginning to see a fuller picture just on the horizon, like the whole 2030 agenda. That's just a part of it. I've been saying for a long time, I think they're going to have most of it or more of it in place before that. I mean, that's 10 years away. And look how close we are right now. They're already openly talking about tagging everybody, the whole world population, putting something on everybody. I mean, they're talking openly about it. So we shall see what happens. An internal report presented to Chinese President Xi Jinping and other top leaders concludes that global anti-China sentiment is at a level not seen since the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown and recommends preparing for a worst-case scenario of armed conflict with the United States. The report, created by the China Institutes of Contemporary Internal Relations, which is affiliated with the Ministry of State Security, suggests that the wave of anti-China sentiment is led by the United States, which sees China's rise as a global superpower as a threat to Western democracies. One of those with knowledge of the report said it was regarded by some in the Chinese intelligence community as China's version of the Novikov telegram, a 1946 dispatch by the Soviet ambassador to Washington, Nikolai Novikov, that stressed the dangers of U.S. economic and military ambition in the wake of World War II. Novikov's missive was a response to U.S. diplomat George Kennan's long telegram from Moscow that said the Soviet Union did not see the possibility for peaceful coexistence with the West and that containment was the best long-term strategy. Okay, Reuters, which hasn't seen the paper, couldn't determine to what extent the reporter's grim outlook reflects positions held by China's state leaders, nor how much it might influence policy. We'll see. Not reading too much into it yet, but we'll see. Another one of those trends we're watching for. I don't think I can ever get recruited back in. I'm in my 40s, but I was active duty 8 years and I was a medic. And I would think if we actually lived to see this World War III, especially if it was soon, they may do that. You've seen a lot of this talk over the last few years of them, the ready reserves, of them doing a draft and actually having women get drafted now as well. And under Obama, I believe it was under his administration, they also allowed women to be on the front lines. A lot of things changed for the military under Obama. That could be a whole video itself. All of the ways that he softened the American military. I remember a story where a bunch of Air Force cadets had to walk around in the pink high heels for a day or for an afternoon. It had something to do with breast cancer or whatever. It's just our women's health. I mean, come on, man. So, I also wanted to say thank you to Christian D for the super chat. Hold on one second. I'm going to check this out real quick. I've got a few messages here. So I want to say, Christian D, thank you very much. And there you go. I think I got the rest of them. Thanks, guys. Tearful nurse blows whistle on New York hospitals offing the virus patients with complete medical mismanagement. I'm not sure if I showed a video last week of another nurse. She was in Portland, though, talking about how they had like one C-19 patient and that's it. And that they were actually firing people and letting people go. And she was really peed off because she's an RN. She needs to work. But this, I think, is different. This is a different one. We'll check some of this out. It's a long one, so I'm not going to watch the whole thing. It's like 23 minutes. But let's see here.
this is exactly what happened before at the other hospital. As soon as I told somebody, like management, and tried to advocate for my patient, they take the patient away from me and then they move me. So, like, I legitimately don't even know what to do anymore. Like, even the advocacy groups don't give a shit about these people. Like, literally, like, Black lives don't matter here. And I mean, that's pretty sad that somebody who is white and lives hundreds of miles away from the city gives more of a shit about these people than the actual people in this city. Like, for real. Like, I had a complete breakdown yesterday because, you know, I missed an important email to do a revision on my proposal. So my proposal got canceled because I was trying to advocate for my patient and talk to management here and get the care that he needs because he's being medically mismanaged. And I just had a complete fucking breakdown because, you know what, my entire proposal got canceled because I, you know, wasted my time advocating for a fucking patient who's just going to die anyway. You know, and sure enough, they take the patient away from me. And then almost 2 hours into the shift, they switch me units. This is exactly what happened at the other hospital when I was advocating for the little Hispanic lady. You know, guys, here's the thing. Let me try and put things into context for you. Okay? I know not everybody's gonna live. I'm not that fucking green or ignorant or, you know, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to think that, okay? I know we're gonna have a shit ton of people die. But these people aren't dying from COVID. Let me give you several examples here. An anesthesiologist intubated the patient's, like, I think it was right, bronchi and of a patient, and they couldn't get the sats up, and for about 5 hours, like, we were waiting on a chest x-ray to confirm that the placement was wrong. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, we've told the anesthesiologist that it was placed wrong because, like, literally only one side of his fucking chest is, like, inflating. He dies. Okay? A patient had a heart rate of 40, and the resident started doing chest compressions on him, which is not what you do. You just externally pace them, or you know, give him some atropine. And then, you know, I run in there to stop him from doing chest compressions on somebody with a fucking pulse. And then he decides to push epi. He throws some pads on him to defibrillate the guy in bradycardia. Okay, he has a heart rate of 40 and a stable, you know, bradycardic rhythm. We just need to give him some atropine and pace him. He fucking defibrillates him and kills him. And I was literally ran out of, like, the patient's room to get, like, the director of nursing was standing out there. And I'm like, can you stop him? He's going to kill that patient. He's going to kill that patient if he defibrillates him with bradycardia and a heart rate of 40. And the director of nursing just shook his head. And I turned around and he killed the dude. Okay? There was a nurse who placed an NG tube into some guy's lungs and filled.
I want to add something, just some of these stories we're hearing. And isn't it interesting how through this whole event, what hospitals are turning into and how we're starting to get a lot of stories like this? They're turning into little horror houses. You know, there's all these crazy stories coming out of these things. And this isn't it. Again, I mentioned in the beginning, way back when I did my first video a few months ago on this event, that, you know, this will be a different experience, I believe, for everybody. And it is going to be a shaking up. And I've been saying for years, I perceive the dividing of the sheep and the goats, or the wheat and the tares, if you will, that we're all going to cling closer to Christ, the Lord, those of us that have him. And those who aren't filled with the Holy Spirit are going to become more, you know, animalistic, if you will. They're going to be, you know, more hive mind. More of that hive mind, because there is that hive mind, and it's definitely developing, and people are falling into it. It's what one thing people like myself have been showing everybody for years, that it's why there's so much predictive programming and social engineering and occult symbolism and occult stories and all this stuff, because it spells, it's witchcraft, and it's all been used on us for a very, very long time. But what they weren't expecting, maybe, is people like all of us, that we're not all dolts. We're not all just going to sit here and take it. We're going to ask questions, Anyway, if you want to see the rest of this, her name is, the nurse is Nicole, Nicole, Sirotech, Sirotek. I understand some of these videos from her have been taken off YouTube. So I found this over at the Gateway Pundit. Watch them while you can. Watch them while they're hot. You never know, especially when they're talking about hot topics, how long they're going to last. This is a short one. I'll play it a few times. I thought it was pretty cool, though. This is out of Buenos Aires, and they found 4 tornadoes in a row. It's pretty cool. We'll play it a few times. Pretty cool, huh? I live in the Midwest. In fact, they call where I live Tornado Alley. We've had some of the worst in recorded history out here. We had one in May several years ago that took a lot of people out, even some people I knew, acquaintances, no one I was super close to, but friends of friends, family of friends, and stuff like this. It was crazy, man. This place, the Midwest where I live, not hard to figure it out by now, but I'm from Oklahoma. I'm living here now. I keep saying it's short term. I never know. I'm really hoping to get into an RV in the future and just kind of live like that. But anyway, Midwest, Oklahoma, Tornado Alley, really bad ones. The season's here right now. It's just now kind of starting up. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I hope nothing bad comes. I mean, they're really freaky out here. My family, my parents, they have a storm shelter, you can go down into in their backyard. Most people out here do. Most places where you live will offer something as well, so they can come up really quick, man, too, really quick. I live pretty close to a university, so one of those huge tornado sirens is over here. There's a weather service over here too, a huge weather service building. So I guess in that sense, I'm lucky. I mean, they'll hear the siren, that's good. Sometimes by the time that goes off, though, you don't have a whole lot of time. Oh, this was a great one. I thought this is funny. This is called the top 5 most entitled Karens of all time. Karen's the name people have given to specifically the female tattletales during this event. There seem to be a lot of them. A lot of, no offense to the ladies, guys have their big issues too and their things, but not so much in this department. This seems to be all about the Karens. So people start calling them Karens. These see something, say something Karens. But we think it's funny now. I always kind of look into the future, and it's not to be grim, but to think that, what if they do this digital vaccine tattoo thing? What if it really is the mark of the beast? Then, like the Bible says, that you're going to see families turning against each other, neighbor against neighbor and all that. Well, that's going to be the real rise of the Karens. We're seeing the seeds of it now, but during that time, it's going to be the rise of the Karens. You're going to have a lot of Karens tattletelling, especially in that time if the government starts offering goodies for you, like if you can tell and get someone caught. Because by then, maybe the food shortages are here, right? Things are getting a little rougher, and there's already signs of food shortages now. I've got some stories tonight. So you see where my mind's going with this, just kind of the way I think. I'm not trying to paint that reality. I just see that as a possible reality. I think it's right there, Anyway, we'll check out a couple of these. These things are pretty good. This is from Public Freakout Videos. Oh, this one. First, I'll do this. There's 2 I'll show you. Let me see. Where is this one? There it is. It's a short one.
That's not my name, so get my name straight. Go ahead.
You okay, Karen? Go ahead, get my tag.
No.
Get my tag, Karen.
My name is not Karen, so get my name straight.
Get my tag, it's okay.
A45. Sir.
All because
That's a Karen. Now, this one isn't so much Karen. It's just a very angry, hateful person. And I haven't experienced anything like this since I was in Costa Rica. This reminded me of a guy. He was my first landlord. I lived in 3 different places in Costa Rica. I was there for a few years. And the guy, his name was Paul, and he was an American who had moved down to Costa Rica. He had a Filipino wife. He was retired. I can't remember from what. But he was just one of the most angry, bitter kind of people, that I ever had to deal with. And gosh, man, I remember one time, every 3 months I had to leave there for immigration for 3 days, and then you can come back in. That's the way the system is in Costa Rica. So every 3 months I'm jumping the border, and sometimes I would just go to connecting countries. There's only 2, or I would go take little plane trips. You could find really cheap little plane trips and hop around in Central America real easy. Do stuff like that. But one time, it was right when I first got there. Maybe it was the first time I had to leave for 3 months. I'd only been there for 3 months. And I already couldn't stand this guy. Like I said, I'm easy to get along with, but I don't like people who aren't kind and don't have manners, and who aren't generous or caring or understanding. Like, I know that makes me sound like a sensitive baby, but that's just who I am. These are things I respect in people. So when they lack all that, it's really hard for me to be around it. Anyway, he had to drive me my first time. It was to the border. We went to Panama, and that was like a 3-hour drive in this truck with this guy. Oh, I don't even want to start thinking too much about it, because your body doesn't know the difference. When your mind starts thinking back to things and you start reliving situations, in this case negative ones, your body has that same reaction that it did when you were living that at the time. That's why it's not a good idea to constantly sit there and focus on the past and on bad things that have happened to you and all that, because there's a disconnect there we don't even realize sometimes, and your body's going through the pain of it again, the anxiety, heart rate up, blood pressure, it messes with your central nervous system, the whole thing. So, our thoughts are very powerful. Anyway, I'll play some of this. And do you know people like this? Have you ever met someone like this? Look how angry this person is. I don't even know what the context is. It's at a gas station. The lady was getting gas. The little girl behind the counter maybe made some mistake. I'm not sure, but she seems like she's trying to fix it. Anyway, here you go.
Excuse me, I'm looking at the pump. I can't help you because I didn't know.
Telling me you're going to take my license plate? I'm here every day. Look at the pump.
I'm looking at the pump, and that's what it's telling me.
It says 1001. Come and look.
I just looked at it, and it says we're missing $6.
But I just put 1001.
What I have to do.
It's not my problem.
Okay.
Not my problem.
I see somebody moving away from that.
I can't even take her.
Okay. I didn't know it was you. I'm
You
very
chased
sorry.
me?
I didn't
Give me
know.
your name right now.
All right, ma'am, she was just doing her job. I'm
No,
sorry,
you
but
don't chase somebody.
She was
when I'm
just doing her job.
Here
But she was just doing her job. She was just doing her job.
I didn't know you would pay her. I thought
You should have asked.
Okay, I just figured out what happened. The lady that's angry had bought gas, and she was driving off, and the little girl behind the counter, I guess there's 2 people working there, didn't realize the other person had already processed the lady's payment for her gas. So that little girl must have run out chasing her vehicle, trying to get the tag number or something. That's what it was. So I guess in a sense, I could understand someone being a little perturbed about that. You know what I mean? Who is the Karen in this situation? You know what I mean? I guess maybe the Karen's actually the girl behind the counter, but it's never, we choose how we react. That's never a good way to react, in my opinion, to just totally lose it and just, you know what I mean? You got to be cool. I'm kind of in a situation, even where I live, I was thinking about this, that even you can live the most isolated, kind of quiet, peaceful life, but somehow the monsters always find you. The terrors always find you. It's like in the Matrix when, the Agent Smith can just, turn into any character that's anywhere in the Matrix world at any time. It's like they just manifest, So I don't even want to go too deep into it because it's kind of a fresh situation, but I live in an area. The place I live in is kind of isolated. It's called a tree house. That's literally what they call it. But I'm in a complex kind of area, and you got to walk for a little bit just to get to my place and kind of find it. I like it like that, you know. But there's parking down there, and there's 2 spots for me for my place, and I only use one unless someone's visiting. And these people that moved in down there have like 10 cars. I don't know how many people are living in there, but I'm always having a problem with these people, especially lately, just taking my spaces constantly. You know, it's like if I leave to go do anything, most of the time when I come back, they've already taken my spot. Plus, they have a truck out there with a flat tire. It's been out there for 6 months, and it's taken up one of the spots, and it's got trash piled high in the back. I mean, they've been using it as their personal dumpster. It stinks. So I finally went over there and took some pictures of that truck and went to the office. I guess I was a Karen. I guess in this case, I was the Karen. But I just decided I'm going to be a Karen, and I went to the office, and I was like, hey, man, look, here's the deal. I don't want to go get on these people one-on-one. I'd rather try to do it through you guys first because these people are really irritating me. But can you just let them know they can have one of these spots? Just leave me one. You know what I mean? When you take up those spots, we're kind of isolated. You got to park kind of far away, and you got to walk. And, you know, again, it's just kind of a pain. So we'll see. You know, that was me doing my shot across the bow, being a little Karen. And now let's see what happens. You know, maybe they'll, the complex said they were going to, and actually they said they're going to do something about it and talk to them and everything else. So let's see, man. Maybe being a Karen pays off for me. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm a little Karen over here. Which one is this? Oh, it's just a short clip. Check this out. This is a reporter from MSNBC. It's really all propaganda in America anyway. All of it is the mainstream stuff. Ooh, 322 views. Skull and Bones. Just a coincidence. I'm just saying. Check this out. This is pretty funny.
But they're following distance rules by what you hear to my left, by cruising this street with some of the most beautiful cars I think I've seen here in Orange County. And so they're respecting a lot of that. But to hear people are very angry. This is one of them. And then there's people here as well. I want to show you some of the anger, some of the emotion that's out here. But they're following distance.
I don't know if you heard the guy or not, but he was like, take off your damn mask. You don't even need it. Anyway, short one. And a shout out to Thomas Kishman II. Thank you very much for the super chat, Thomas. I appreciate you, man. Senator Jack Reed pushes for $8 billion to beef up contact tracing. I think I meant to save this because I'm doing a video all about this contact tracing and all this other stuff. This is what I was talking about earlier about the aftermath. You know, now we're going to start seeing these things fall into place more, right? So this contact tracing is a part of it. Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed is leading the national effort along with 13 other senators for $8 billion in new contact tracing funding. The money would help states recruit, train, and hire additional contact tracing staff. Contact tracers go to work after a patient tests positive for you know what. Mary Cloud wears many hats, URI professor, registered nurse, 46 years, and now a new role as a volunteer Karen. Volunteer contact tracer. I'm the Karen. As a volunteer contact tracer on the Rhode Island Department of Health's case investigation team, what we do is contact people who have tested positive, Cloud says, Cloud News. Contact tracers are part detective, part social worker, part brown shirt. Tracers track down a positive person's close contacts, typically up to 2 days before symptoms appeared, and most often tell those contacts to quarantine for 14 days. Yeah. I'll save this for a bigger video, but this is the scary stuff, man. Now we're getting into, I think. The crown virus was nothing, really. And, you know, really, I mean, it was something, but it was kind of nothing. But now we're seeing the real spooky stuff, you know, what a lot of these people are trying to do, like off the back of it. Barr, this was good to see. Attorney General Barr calls stay-at-home orders disturbingly close to house arrest. Yeah, that's what a lot of us have been saying for quite a while. It's pretty much a house arrest, isn't it, for the whole world? So, you know, who knows? This is a big mainstream character, mainstream story. Some people might say, he's just saying it. You can't believe anything. Or maybe it's a sign that there are some decent people in politics, regardless of party, who see things and they're trying to say something, you know? Perhaps. Harvard law professor believes homeschooling can be dangerous because it gives authoritarian control over their children. Unbelievable. I mean, that's laughable. Of course, they would rather the authoritarian control. It's like how YouTube will only promote authoritarian content, right? Or authoritative sources, which is all the mainstream stuff, which is all using the Illuminati symbols. All basically Disney and a couple other companies own everything at this point. So, but yeah, the schools, man, you know, we don't need no education. Teachers, leave them kids alone. They're indoctrination centers. This is one thing I've been saying for a while. It's one of the good things I think that have come out of the whole crown virus situation is more parents maybe getting into this. You know, teaching the kids at home, getting them out of the system a bit. I don't need to read this story. I think we get it. It's pretty ridiculous. Benjamin Netanyahu shockingly suggests microchipping children who return to school after the virus lockdown in Israel is lifted. This is from nowtheendbegins.com. Also, Leslie Coffey, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate it. Cyber experts slammed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for his proposal to microchip children who return to schools and kindergartens as the virus lockdown is lifted. I believe that Benjamin Netanyahu is a good man and certainly God's man to be leading Israel in these end times, but I want to draw your attention to a really wacky thing he said this week about lifting the C-19 lockdown in Israel. And this is obviously an editorial, and it's from, again, Now the End Begins, okay? He said that all children returning to school should receive a microchip to serve as a virus warning system. That's crazy, but he said it, and there it is. Now, let me tell you a really scary thing you need to know about. And this is from Revelation. And he causeth all both great and rich, and he causes all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 666. Benjamin Netanyahu's suggestion may have been shot down in Israel, and rightly so, but that's exactly what Bill Gates and the ID 2020 Alliance envision, not just for school children, but for the entire global population. Just as the September event was used as an excuse to deny American freedoms via the Patriot Act, so the virus will be used as an excuse to give every single person on earth a digital ID that will connect to a global database. Little Billy Gates is so sure this is coming, he is betting his entire fortune to make it happen. There you go. Cool. All right. Thanks, Billy. Little Billy Gates. Thanks, Billy. There's a funny video you can watch of Bill Gates getting hit in the face by a pie. It's from like 20 years ago. Somebody just walked by in the street and slams him with a pie. That was kind of great. There's also a short clip I saw from American Dad, the cartoon, where Bill Gates is flying with somebody. I think it's the American Dad character. An American Dad character says, "Wow, from up here, they all look like ants." And Bill Gates turns to him and says, "They are all ants. They're all ants." Like, yeah. Yep. Say that nails it. Cool. We got some UFO stuff to look at. Friend of the channel here, the Hidden Underbelly 2.0. He's doing good on his subs, man. I feel like I remember way back when you were still like 12, 15,000 subscribers, man. So good for you, sir. Bizarre blue light sightings are becoming a global phenomenon. Yes, they are. This is something I've been wanting to do, and I've already been doing it. It's a part of a UFO video where I'm showing you some different types of UFOs, the types we like to find around here. And there are different types, and some of them I think it's the same shapeshifters, just kind of changing shape, you know. But then there's some that are obviously ships, and you know, there's all kinds of things. Some look like flying humanoids, one of my favorites. I'm not even kidding. You might be new here and think, who is this guy? Well, flying humanoids are a real thing. We've seen a lot of those videos here, so they're very interesting. But another one of those categories is the lights. I got a really cool one. You saw that one in New York where it went blue. I've got one that's different than that, and it's also from New York, and it's newer, of multiple lights colored all in that area. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, so a lot of people are finding these. This is from all around the world too. I've been looking at them for a few years now, but you'll find them, Russia, the UK, America, wherever, man. Different colored lights up in the sky. Sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's red, a lot of times it's purple. Think of all the purple sky videos we've seen on here. And sometimes it's blue. Anyway, here's one. It looks like April 14th, 2020. Let's check some of this out.
Examples of this blue light phenomenon. So let's take a look at this video and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Dang, did he say New York? This might be one of the same. The one I got, it's a guy talking. He's filming with his phone right out his window. But I wonder if this is the same anomaly, because it's kind of what it looks like. Dang, look at that. Nothing to see here, right? Come on, man. It's very interesting. Here's another one.
At each end of the road, and then we're going to zoom over to our next location.
Всем привет, короче говоря. Ну, я хотела что сказать. Вот видите в небе какие-то огни. Я не понимаю, что это на самом деле. Оно меняет цвет. Я вначале думала, что это от какого-то ночного клуба идет отсветка. Но оно, скажем так, я...
He's changing colors right there. Look at that.
В небе. Я не знаю,
good catches here.
на самом деле, но этого не может быть в небе так высоко. С другой стороны, я поворачиваюсь.
Hidden Underbelly, if you're watching this right now, because I know you'll watch the show sometime, I may have to borrow some of these clips from my video. Hope you don't mind. But you got some good ones here. And I've found similar, so I've compiled similar all over the world. I mean, the footage coming in from all over the world. Okay, cool. That's a good one. And I think that's it. Unless that's another one. No, that's the same one from the beginning. Okay. All right, cool. Good video. Yes. Yes, these things are showing up all over the place. They really are. You guys have probably heard about the Murder Hornet. Dun, dun, dun. It's like been a big news story this week. The Murder Hornets. Have you seen this footage right here, though? This is pretty crazy and intense. This is a one of these murder hornets with a fully grown mouse. And here's what happens. Anyway, spoiler alert, Murder Hornet wins. You probably noticed that, so I want to share some of that with you. Okay, and that was from same channel here, Disclose Screen the Grim Reaper. He puts up some good ones too. This is a UFO compilation, but here's the main one I wanted to show you this is from published April 25th, 2020 from Brad Abramenko. Location unknown, but wow, look at this one. It's a good catch. I see that as just a whole bunch of the orbs together shifting, because this thing keeps shifting and changing. Wow, that's pretty big though too. Look at that, it's so far away. You can still see it fairly well from that far. And then, wow, look at that, man. That's a good catch. Those little stinkers up there. Some people may think they're, heavenly angels. I've talked about that in a lot of the videos, the difference between the orbs. I think there are good orbs, but I think it's just like with symbols. A lot of it's consequential. It depends on what the situation is. Are there confirmations? It's a whole process. Anyway, I thought that was a good one, though. This is pretty interesting. A look at some of Ed and Lorraine Warren's most haunted items. This is from today, May 8th, 2020. When the topic of Ed and Lorraine Warren's occult museum in Monroe, Connecticut is brought up, and the several haunted items that are on display there, we automatically think of the Annabelle doll. And yes, while Annabelle is said to be extremely haunted, there are several other items in the museum that are just as creepy and have been featured in movies. Let's take a look at some of the other frightening items that are displayed in the famous museum. If you didn't know, Ed and Lorraine Warren were famous Christian also. I don't want to call them ghost hunters. They exorcised demons and stuff like this, and secured, as you see here, but they've secured a lot of cursed objects and things like this. And they really worked. I believe they really worked to try to fight evil, fight the devil and his minions. I don't know a whole lot about them. I haven't done a lot of reading on them. I've seen a couple of these movies that the characters are in. I've read some basic information on the people in real life. But from what I understand, they were both Christians who did this. And they are featured in a lot of these movies, a lot of these James Wan produced movies. You've probably seen them as characters. Toy monkey. The Warrens had previously claimed that the toy monkey was possessed by a demon. It was even featured briefly in the movie The Conjuring when Ed told a reporter who was touring the room with all of the haunted items, "Everything you see in here is either haunted, cursed, or been used in some kind of ritualistic practice," he said, adding, "Nothing is a toy, not even the toy monkey. Don't touch it." Shadow doll. The shadow doll looks as though it's handmade and is reportedly quite the sinister object. There have been claims that the spirit residing inside of the doll can visit people in their dreams, as well as having the capability of stopping their hearts. Music box owned by the Perron family. You may recognize the last name Perron, as their story was the basis of the movie The Conjuring. The family was living in Harrisville, Rhode Island, when the spirit of a witch and a Satanist called Bathsheba Sherman was said to be terrorizing them. In the movie, the youngest child, April, found an old music box in their home and used it to connect to a child ghost named Rory, who was allegedly killed by his mother, Bathsheba, in the 1800s. In the movie, Lorraine was also able to see Rory's spirit through the music box, and Ed ended up placing it in the artifacts room of the museum, where it inexplicably opened up and started playing music. The haunted piano. Another item that was featured in the movie Annabelle Comes Home, is the haunted piano that had previously been in the home of a deceased priest. According to Ed, the piano would occasionally start playing in the middle of the night, but when he would go to check it out, it would immediately stop as soon as he walked into the room. Samurai suit. Oh, there's the real Annabelle doll. It says, "Warning, positively do not open." Looks like a Raggedy Ann, doesn't it? For those who've watched all of the Conjuring universe movies, the samurai armor has been seen several times. You can see it quickly in the set design of the haunted objects room in the first two Conjuring films, and has a more significant role in Annabelle Comes Home when Judy Warren's babysitter opens up Annabelle's case and unleashes the doll's spirit, as well as other demonic presences. The girls are then able to hear battle cries and screams coming from the samurai armor. There are several other items in the museum that contain paranormal activity, including a haunted mirror, satanic books, cursed pictures, demon masks, a vampire coffin, tombstones of children, skins from animals, voodoo dolls, excuse me, and a brick from the haunted Borley Rectory in England. This is definitely one creepy museum, to say the least. Cool. It says pictures of the haunted items can be seen here. Excuse me. Cool. It's from April 23rd, 2020. Pictures of the items. Oh, this is just a rehash of the story. Where's the pictures? Maybe this is it. Oh, there we go. No, it's just pictures from the movie. We get tricked. Clickbait. All right, got it. Okay, here we go. Short video. Speaks for itself.
So this girl's coming in with her mask on. You all need to see this. Hey, Joe, look at this ghetto-ass mess. Hello. How you doing?
Pretty good. I need 10 on pump one, please.
Where'd you get that mask from?
Well, since we have to wear them and it makes it harder to breathe, it just makes it a lot easier to breathe.
Cutting it? Yeah, I'll do that too. Thanks for the advice. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll do that too. Thanks for the advice. Man, see, I don't like being mean about people. It's just, you got to remember, and I keep that in mind when I get these, poorly written, angry comments, sometimes underneath videos or shows. And I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, I'm being serious. Like, I got to remember there's a lot of people like this out there in the world, that just, they're just not quite thinking right. Something's not connecting. And unfortunately, maybe it's, everything. It's the chemtrails, it's the chemicals in their food, it's chemicals in their water, the garbage in media that we're all programmed by. Maybe it's just this culmination, and that's ultimately really what they want. It's just a bunch of dum-dums kind of being dumb. I'm a dum-dum. Just being dumb. Just walking around being dumb. Being dumb.
I need 10 on pump one, please.
Where'd you get that mask from?
Well, since we have to wear them and it makes it harder to breathe, it just makes it a lot easier to breathe.
Cutting it? Yeah, I'll do that too. Thanks for the advice. Appreciate you.
Hey, I'll do that too. Appreciate you. Thanks for the advice. This is pretty funny. Check this out. It explains itself.
While in college during your sophomore year, you were accidentally involved in an LAPD sting operation. Finger down if while in college during your sophomore year, you were accidentally involved in an LAPD sting operation because your apartment complex got robbed and your apartment got broken into, and the guy who broke into your apartment stole your wallet and then used your ID to find you on Instagram and ask you out on a date. And so then once you were sure it was the guy who broke into your apartment, you called the police, and the police were like, "Oh my God, this is so good. Go on the date." And you were like, "What?" And then they were like, "No, do it. Just trust us." And so then you arranged an entire sting operation with them where you'd give them a tip off so that they could come and arrest him. And so then he got arrested right in front of you and went to jail. And so you called your mom thinking she would be so proud. And she was like, "Oh my God, he knows where you live. He knows what you look like. And he knows how to break into your apartment. You're going to get murdered." And you were like, "Oh my God, no, Mom, it's fine. He'll be in jail." But then after 2 days, he posted bail and immediately DM'd you on Instagram. Finger down if while in college during your
I don't know if you caught all that, but that's pretty funny, man. Apparently, I mean, the whole story happened to her, and somebody broke into her house, as she was saying, and then tried to go out with her on a date. Again, people just being dumb. Hi, what's your name? I'm dumb. I'm dumb too. I know, we're all dumb. Being dumb. This is a good one too. Short one. Bit of a doom break.
Try it on your head. Dude, give me that thing. Give me that stick. Come here.
Okay.
Come here. Just come here. I'll do it really soft. Come on. You know me. Nice and soft. Ready? Stand a little bit closer.
It's so classic. Look at that. So yeah, so much for your hard hat, sir. Don't know if that's going to be protecting anybody anytime soon. Elon Musk says he sympathizes with anti-globalist movement. I still think that, he could very well turn out to be one of those, super geniuses, or super evil geniuses, sorry, like, a villain from a movie or a TV show. They have to be charismatic, right? The people got to love them, but then behind the scenes, I don't know. And I've never met this man. I doubt I ever will. So a lot of what we say is just speculative. However, it is a little freaky to me when you see his Neuralink stuff, and I've done a video on that as well. That's questionable, obviously. Makes you wonder. So I've been looking ever since, every week I'm always combing through stories, but I've been looking for stories connecting Elon Musk with Bill Gates. I'm waiting to see a story. Elon Musk joins forces with Bill Gates. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I don't know. Hey, I don't want to say, what if, Elon turns out to be maybe he will. I don't know. Maybe he turns out to be this good guy and he fights against it. But I don't know, man. The Neuralink thing is, he wants this. He wants to put a microchip in your brain. Okay, this is not a friend of ours. It's the way I see that. So who knows, how much of anything he's saying on these talk shows is real or not. But we'll see. He's one to watch. He's a very interesting character. San Antonio City Council passes resolution declaring Chinese virus to be hate speech. Of course they did. Of course they did. Santa just being dumb. Hi, I'm dumb. Hey, you want to come with us? No, I'm going to sit here and be dumb. I'm dumb. San Antonio City Council has unanimously passed a resolution that declares the terms Chinese virus and Kung Flu virus to be hate speech. President Trump and many of his supporters have used variations of both terms as a reminder that the virus did indeed originate in China. This prompted the media and leftists to claim Trump was being a racist, despite the fact that viruses are routinely named after their place of origin. Now, San Antonio City Council has officially declared such language to be hate speech. Hate speech. Resolution being voted on by San Antonio City Council this morning labels terms Chinese virus and Kung Fu virus as hate speech, and all persons are encouraged to report any such anti-Semitic, discriminatory, or racist incidents to the proper authorities for investigation. Honk, honk. It's Circus World. Welcome to the show. There's Chubbs. Chubbs, you want to say hi? Okay, maybe later. Resolution being voted on by San Antonio City Council this morning labels terms. Okay, we get it. We got it. We understand. Chinese virus. Netflix defends its gay characters from homophobic trolling on Twitter. Oh, dear. Netflix has expertly hit back. Oh, this is why one of the reasons I really can't stand Yahoo News anyway. It's another one that's just so obviously far extreme left agenda. It's not even leftist stuff. That's part of the New World Order agenda. It's the way they want us to think. It's the way they want you to be organized. It's no, I don't want that. No. So this is from Digital Spy. Maybe. Oh, okay. Well, I'm blaming Yahoo, but turns out it was this site here that wrote it. Okay, whatever. Let's just read some. The site's official Twitter account retweeted a SpongeBob SquarePants meme that depicts Patrick labeled as Netflix feeding a giant pumpkin, an unnecessary gay character, to SpongeBob. Any new series? Well, let's take a look. Here it is. Netflix, an unnecessary gay character. Yes, that's exactly what they do. This person said every damn new series. And then Netflix says, sorry, you have yet to realize that every gay person is very necessary. Yes, it's very necessary to represent less than 4% of the population, 95% of all entertainment and media. Sure, that makes perfect sense. California dad accused of throwing young daughter off cliff, killing her after stabbing attack. This is one of those stories. A bit X-Files. Sometimes I see these things. Speaking of a bit X-Files, have you heard of a TV series that was called The Outsider? It's called The Outsider. It's on HBO. I finally got around to watching it, and I love it, man. I really love it. This is a really good show, right up our alley. We're into that weird stuff. I don't want to spoil anything, but I may put it in a video, and I'll warn you, because you kind of get an idea after a few episodes of what it is they're up against. But it's a subject we get into a lot here on the channel. I'm almost done with the whole season, the first season. And I've got other movies and series I've watched I've been creating a video for, so this will be perfect to slide into that because it fits something I've been connecting together. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get back to the news. A man is set to be arrested on suspicion of homicide after he allegedly threw his young daughter into a ravine following a pair of stabbings and a rollover crash near Palm Desert in Southern California. The incident began around 8:30 a.m. Wednesday when deputies were called out to a reported stabbing in a parking lot in Indian Wells, according to a news release from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Responding deputies found an injured woman with multiple unspecified injuries sustained during a domestic violence incident, authorities said. She was taken to a hospital in stable condition. So the woman made it through. Now, the suspect was identified as 49-year-old Adam Slater of Palm Desert. According to the release, deputies broadcast a description of him and his vehicle. Around 9 a.m., the California Highway Patrol was dispatched to a crash off a stretch of Highway 74. So this is the dad with the kid, right? This is the dad with the kid. The mom suffered a bunch of wounds and an attack. She made it, sounds like, in stable condition. Here's dad with the kid. Around 9 a.m., the California Highway Patrol was dispatched to a crash off a stretch of Highway 74 south of Vista Point, about 5 miles from Palm Desert. The vehicle had gone off the highway and overturned several hundred feet away from the road. The car's description was similar to that of Slater's. Bystanders went to help the occupants in the overturned vehicle. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. But witnesses told deputies the driver exited and stabbed someone who had removed the small child from the passenger side. The suspect then took the girl from the arms of the male he stabbed. Multiple witnesses saw the suspect take the child and throw her over a steep cliff into a ravine, the release read. The suspect then fled on foot into the canyon. Bystanders directed deputies to the man's location, and Slater was detained a short time later. After a brief foot pursuit, the child was found deceased. Her name and age have not been released. Okay. What causes someone to do these things? Report: slew slide, rise from lockdowns to kill more than the crown virus in Australia. Researchers from Sydney University's Brain and Mind Center forecast a 50% rise in the sea. You don't know. I don't know. They're forecasting, forecasts. They're casting. I don't, we got to be careful of these, even these stories, and even knowing the kind of the little monsters who are behind the scenes in a lot of this stuff happening right now that are enjoying this and using this as part of an agenda. So I'm careful with some of these kind of stories, because I feel personally, maybe on a deeper level, on a much deeper level, this is all stuff they want to bring this in. They want more of a suicide rate. They want more people giving up. So they put these stories out. Brain and Mind Center forecast a 50% rise in the national suicide rate because of the economic and social impact. That's not good. That's not good for anybody. Are you with me on this? Maybe it doesn't matter to you. Maybe it's whatever, right? But I feel a lot of this stuff's kind of agenda anyway when it comes from official government sources, the same system that's telling us to trust the World Health Organization, right? Canadian gun laws are so strict that they managed to ban a coffee company. I'm really sorry for our friends up there in Canada having to deal with this dolt. Following a mass shooting in Canada on April 18th, our neighbors to the north saw the expected lurch by politicians to enforce tougher gun laws. Absolutely. It's what they do. It's what they do. That's why most of these events are orchestrated on one level or another. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau moved swiftly. And no, I'm not just saying that. That's not just as a hyperbole. Is that what the word is? Y'all know this. You can look at why do almost every one of these big events, why is it there was almost always government functioned event that was mimicking the exact same event while it was taking place a few miles away or the day before. Just one example. You guys know this stuff. Who am I talking to? You're a smart crowd. Anyway, I don't want to read any more about this. We get it. Because the name of the company was Black Rifle Coffee. See? Black Rifle Coffee Company. All right. I got bored with that one while I was looking at it. Kim Jong-un once filmed talking to possible body doubles. North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un was once filmed chatting to two identically dressed lookalikes, escalating wild conspiracies. Right. These aren't, come on, people. They even made a movie. It was a really good one about Saddam Hussein's son's body doubles, or his son's body double. And I'm trying to think what the name of that was. It was such a good movie. It was interesting. It was based on true events. I don't know how all of it was, how much it was all real or not, but it sure was good. It's a very interesting story. And even in that one, here's one you can look up. Gosh, what was it called? Anyway, it was a movie about Saddam Hussein's son, about his body double and the relationship the son has with his body double. And I thought it was really, really good. And it's in English. But there's a scene in there near the end. I think it's when you very first meet Saddam Hussein. In the movie, there's a character that plays, it's like a guy playing Saddam Hussein. I think it's near the middle-ish, but further to the end. There's a scene where he finally comes in, but I'm pretty sure this is when they showed this. But in that movie, just on this huge wall behind Saddam Hussein, I'm pretty sure it's when he's in there, there's a massive pyramid with an all-seeing eye right in the center. It's like just massive. It's like bonk right here. And that was from the movie from like 2012 or so, I think. It's from a while back. But even that, I remember noticing, like, really? Okay. Yeah, that wasn't placed there on purpose, was it? Anywho. The U.S. Space Force is recruiting, and this is they just released a new recruitment video. You guys want to watch it? I think it's only like 30 seconds. Here, let's check it out.
The answer. Maybe your purpose on this planet isn't on this planet.
That was it.
Some people look to the stars and ask, what if? Our job is to have an answer. We have to imagine what will be imagined. Plan for what's possible while it's still impossible. Maybe you weren't put here just to ask the questions. Maybe you were put here to be the answer. Maybe your purpose on this planet isn't on this planet.
I know some people, I don't like when I talk about Space Force. I mentioned this in a show, and some people were kind of mad in the comment sections. Oh my gosh, KJ, you're telling people to go to the Space Force. Calm down. I was in the military. I was active duty 8 years. Yes, boot camp's a form of brainwashing, but you recover. It's not that bad. You recover from it. But if I was in my teens, late teens, early 20s, I may consider it just for the adventure of it, just to see what this Space Force is really all about. Why not? Let's just see. Why not? You got what else are you going to do? What else you got going on? Maybe you got other career paths you're going to choose or whatever else. But if you got nothing else going on and you'd like to make a steady paycheck and you'd like to maybe have some adventure and get outside of your comfort zone, leave your state, you'll also be in the best shape of your life. I'll never forget the kind of shape I was in boot camp. It was insane. I mean, there's a lot of benefits from it. And again, this is coming from I'm a veteran. I was in for 8 years active, Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard. So I didn't go to war. It's one of the reasons I chose the Coast Guard. I didn't want to go see war or anything like that. But thank you, Caitlin Trigg, by the way, for the super chat. So yeah, Space Force, man. What do you guys think? Caitlin, would you go to the Space Force? I don't know. What about you guys? Would you do the Space Force? All right. Seriously, Caitlin, thanks again, though. Thanks for the super chats, guys. I appreciate you. Magazine doesn't even try to hide it, pushes socialism on teens. But wait till you see which magazine it is. With the rise of Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and many other leftist politicians, the draw to socialism has taken a hold of many American teens. A new article published Friday titled, "What is Democratic Socialism and Why is it Growing More Popular in the U.S.?" written by Samuel Arnold, an associate professor of political theory at Texas Christian University, pushed the growingly popular concept of democratic socialism to readers of Teen Vogue, the online magazine on a mission to be the young person's guide to saving the world, in quotes. After claiming socialism, it's back, the article initially attempts to posture as neutral, saying, so who's right? That's for you to decide. But first you need to know some basics. Those basics turn out to be a series of one-sided arguments that are incongruent with reality. But seeing as the article is under Teen Vogue's new, quote, Bread and Roses series, which, quote, explores the growing interest in socialism among young people seeking alternatives to recovery in this pivotal moment in global history, unquote, whatever that means. That doesn't come as much of a surprise. Just more brainwashing, man, more stuff over to the left. No, it's not about politics. It's not about Democrats. Those days are gone. It's just we're dealing with extremes now. You see who's the president, right? So this is real honk, 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 honk. You know, this is circus world now. Dealing major extremes. Major extremes. Arnold initially discussed the opposition to socialism, namely that of President Trump, and described the kinds of people he believes oppose such a system. Many Americans side with Trump in rejecting socialism, Arnold wrote, despite its increasing popularity among younger Americans and Democrats. Socialism remains broadly disliked, especially by Republicans and seniors. Womp, womp, womp. See, that's where, and I know people don't like to hear it, some people don't, but destruction comes. You know, this is what I've been seeing for years, what I do, showing people these things. Other people see it. But destruction is going to have to come. When I see stuff like this, it's just like, God, man, I mean, of course it has to. Of course it has to. I mean, they don't even know what they don't even know what it is. They're not even paying attention to Venezuela. Look at Venezuela. That's what you'll get from the so-called socialism, which is just a nicer way of saying communism, which is just a nicer way of saying it's a part of that Luciferian system. And Pike told us, remember, they would turn the atheists and the nihilists against the Christians, probably throw the Satanists in there as well, right? And then it would be the Satanists. And then once they win, they believe they were going to wipe out the Christians. Then once they win, then they'll kill those people that don't decide to sign up with the new Luciferian order. Everyone's going to have to bend a knee to it. Everybody. So there you have it. It's for the kids. It's all right. It's all right, Mama. It's for the kids. Socialism. They love it. They love it. Joe Biden. You keep seeing all these great positive news stories, and I'm going through news feeds on Joe Biden. It's like come on, this is what they love. I saw this one, some celebrity says it, you know, there's Tara Reid, that Tara Reid story. I guess she had been worked with Biden many years ago, and now she's coming out with her Me Too type stuff, and Biden had touched her and done whatnot. It's just interesting to see how the media, of course, just, you know, they're not having that. They're all over it when Trump's talking about grabbing someone's pussy, but when it's someone on their side, it's a whole, you know, other story altogether, of course. But anyway, it's funny. I actually heard that Biden was just at the mall a couple of days ago. Apparently he had heard that little girls' dresses were going to be half off. I'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitress. Try the veal. Poll: young Americans care more about money than making a family. Significantly more Americans ages 13 to 22 say it's important to buy a home and make a lot of money than to marry, have children, and commit to a faith, according to a new late April survey of 1,600 randomly chosen participants. 69% and 59% of the youthful respondents, respectively, said that these two are extremely or very important, their top choices among life milestones. A majority of poll respondents said they thought marrying was an important life goal, just not in as high numbers as those who rated a house, money, and health as extremely or very important. Young people who are religious and attend private high schools and colleges were significantly more likely than their less religious and publicly schooled counterparts to prioritize faith and family. And that's consistent with sociological research that finds desire for marriage and family is intertwined with faith, and that secular education erodes faith. There you go. From the Federalist. Bored first responder dances nude in Times Square as the virus pandemic does not live up to the hype. I don't think there's any video. Maybe there is. Let's see. No, these are just, that was something else. More of this goofy stuff. It always really gets to my nerves when I see these nurses dancing. I'm sorry, I don't like it. It's just a mockery. The whole thing's a mockery, you know? Like, my mom is terrified. I haven't seen my mom. I can't go to her house. I haven't been there in a few weeks now. Not even kidding. She is terrified of this. Terrified. Now, she's elderly, you know, and we know they're a little more susceptible, they say, to this kind of thing. But, man, I'm telling you, she's just scared. All I can do is pray for her and tell her, it's like, Mom, you know, we're not supposed to be so fearful. You know, we got to, like, you know, lean on your faith, like really use it. Let's not just say, hey, we got Jesus. Like, let's believe and be warriors, you know. But, you know, it's hard to explain to, you know, your parents sometimes, you know, they're set in their ways. And, you know, I'd rather go the peaceful path with them anyway. So I just stay away until she feels like it's going to be safe again, you know. Kansas City mayor defends Nazi-like policy registering people attending church. This is another one of those not good situations. Conservative law firms calling a new order in Kansas City, Missouri, Nazi-like, for requiring churches to surveil, track, and spy on anyone who attends an in-person service, but the mayor is pushing back. Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas' 10-10-10 rule took effect of May 5th, restricting non-essential businesses like churches to 10 people inside and 50 people outside as long as they practice social distancing. In addition, non-essential businesses can operate at 10% maximum capacity. This stuff's so crazy, man. Like I said, our restaurants are open where I live. It's just unbelievable. Some of you guys are having to deal with this in some of your states. The mayor said in late April that venues need to keep track of those who come in for more than 10 minutes. And the written order states each should consider maintaining a record of customers. Just go get a burger and they're going to take your information down. Are you running a fever today? Dude, I just want fries with that. But the mayor's office said tracking people is voluntary. The purpose of recording names and contact information is to help the health department more quickly trace, test, and isolate individuals. Back to that contact tracing, man. Here we go. That's what it's all about. I'm doing a video, a bigger one on all this stuff. I'll break it down. Some other things I'm finding with it. Wow, this was a real bummer when I found this story. This is from May 5th, just a couple days ago. Because during the morning, I like having Prices Right on in the background. It's just one of the, it's one of those TV shows that for me is so, it's just so easy. It's easy to watch. It's easy to have on in the background. It's always nice to see people winning things. That's why these game shows are so successful. You know, we like, you know, they win, we win. You know, it's nice to see people win something. I always like Drew Carey, man. He seems like a great guy. I don't know a lot about him. Never seen anything with him wearing, you know, pentagrams on his shirt or doing the one eye symbol. I mean, I haven't really looked into it, but always seemed like a pretty down to earth guy. One time I was watching though, and he said something I thought was kind of a bummer. He had mentioned Christianity and something, and it was during the show. Oh, he knows it was about praying. He's like, well, he goes, well, I'd tell you to pray about it, but I stopped doing that a long time ago. And then he just kept moving on. It's like he said that to a contestant. My mouth kind of dropped open. Like, what? Dude. He's like, well, I'd tell you to pray about it, but I stopped doing that a long time ago. All right, moving on, folks. Now, what you're going to do here is, how much is this, bath soap going to cost? Whatever. But just kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, what? It's a Midwestern boy, too. I always like them Midwestern folks. You find actors and actresses are from the Midwest. I always automatically assume, okay, Bible Beltish, most likely raised in a Christian home. We'll see. But anyway, Price is Right show is going to raise funds for Planned Butcherhood. Check this out. The popular game show, The Price is Right, and it's always the freaking... Look, the popular game show, The Price is Right, will air a controversial show on May 11th with drag queen RuPaul. That's in 3 days. Playing to raise money for the Planned Parenthood abortion chain. That is unbelievable. I can't believe they're going to air this. I'm going to watch. I usually have it on. I have a whole routine in the morning as I'm going through news, and then around noon I start working on whatever videos I'm working on, and I just kind of do my thing like that. But I guess I'll have it on and be watching just to see if they're really going to be that out front with it. Like, that's why they're doing it. Are they going to say it's for Planned Parenthood? I don't know. Oh, it's a primetime special. Okay, the primetime special, The Price is Right at night, with host Drew Carey, will air at 8 p.m. on CBS. RuPaul will be playing to raise money for Planned Parenthood, while other contestants will be competing for prizes. God, that is so sinister. Isn't that gross? Gross. Here, dum-dums, play for your prizes. Yeah, the new car. Play for your prizes, dum-dums. And we're just going to keep feeding Moloch. All right? Yeah, we're just going to keep feeding Baal. RuPaul has been an abortion activist for years. Well, of course he has. Of course he has. Of course. Of course. In 2017, he told Marie Claire magazine that his mother used to work at Planned Parenthood, just like Billy Gates' daddy. We're starting to see a trend here. The largest abortion group in America, he organized a fundraiser for the chain that year, too. Women in our culture have been so marginalized. This is from a man dressing as a woman. Women in our culture, and it's a very perverted, degenerate, over-the-top version of a female you get too, right? But it's okay, ladies. Keep supporting him, right? Those of you that do. He says, women in our culture have been so marginalized and so really beaten down. We live in a masculine-dominated culture. How dare some man tell a woman what to do with her body? That is outrageous. Outrageous. As a human, that's a big issue for me that really strikes a chord. Whatever, these people, they're monsters. To me, they're all monsters. People are monsters. Can't believe that's going to be on Price is Right, man. It's so crazy. It's a shame. Did we watch this yet? No, this is a security guard situation. Got popped after trying to enforce face mask policy.
Security guard. Police say the victim was killed for enforcing a state-mandated face mask policy. Laura Podesta reports.
A Family Dollar store in Flint, Michigan became a murder scene on Friday. Police believe a security guard, 43-year-old Calvin Munnerlin, was fatally shot in the head after he told shopper Charmel Teague that her daughter had to wear a mask before entering the store.
The daughter did not have a mask. Charmel did have a mask, but the altercation ensued, and we believe she communicated with Larry Teague and Ramon Bishop, and they returned to the store, and the shooting occurred.
Genesee County Prosecutor David Layton says his office has authorized felony warrants against the two men involved. Charmel Teague is reportedly under arrest. The community is now remembering the life of Munnerlin.
When I found out what had happened to him, it really broke my heart because I know what kind of person he was.
A candlelit vigil was held Sunday, and this memorial was created yesterday outside the Family Dollar store. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
That's sad, man. And again, scary just how people are going to react. And we got to remember that this really is a shaking, right, for everybody. And some people are losing it. It's unfortunate. Some people just are losing it. So you got to be careful out there. NYPD officer brandishes taser, tackles, and strikes bystander during social distancing bust. I think there's a video. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, it's on Russia Today. Where's the video? Well, I mean, the whole point was to try to watch the video. They don't have one. Okay. Anyway, just another example of this social distancing nonsense. The police getting a little bit too handsy over that. Initiative seeks to challenge Trump's online megaphone. Check out this stuff. Look how just so out in the open. It's so blatant, but just nobody cares, man, because it's honk honk circus world, right? But look at this. A new Democratic-aligned political action committee advised by retired Army General Stanley McChrystal, who is one of Obama's boys. Remember all the disappearing generals under Obama? That's another one I'd covered years ago, but under Obama, more of our generals disappeared. I mean, he really reshaped the military, softened it up, put his people in, that would just be totally loyal to him. But so Stanley McChrystal is one of them. The former head of U.S. forces in Afghanistan is planning to deploy technology. Listen to this. Originally developed to counter Islamic State propaganda in service of a domestic political goal, to combat online efforts to promote President Donald Trump's handling of the C virus pandemic. Let's read that one more time. Listen, this is crazy. And it gets crazier. A new Democratic-aligned political action committee advised by retired Army General Stanley McChrystal is planning to deploy technology originally developed to counter Islamic propaganda in service of a domestic political goal. Now they're going to use it to combat online efforts to promote President Donald Trump's handling of the C virus pandemic. That's a big deal. It's so hard. It's like nowadays it's so hard to know, right? Just what to trust, what news to trust, what stories. The group Defeat Disinfo, of course, will use artificial intelligence and network analysis to map discussion of the president's claims on social media. It will then seek to intervene by identifying the most popular counter narratives and boosting them through a network of more than 3.4 million influencers all across the country, in some cases paying users with large followings to take sides against President Trump. God, man, this is just... It's there. I mean, you see it. You see the Antichrist spirit, don't you? You see it. You see this totalitarianism, upon us. These people just don't even care anymore. You think they're going to stop once Trump's gone? If he's not the last? You think they would stop? Like, okay, well, now we got a different Republican in here that's not Trump. So, we're going to calm down. We're going to take it easy, and we don't need to play all these games, man. It was just for Trump. No, you guys are okay. No, it doesn't work that way. No. They're manifesting. It's the terrors. It's the goats. This is from Stars and Stripes. If you want to read that whole article, initiative seeks to challenge Trump's online megaphone. It's a big article, but check it out. Oh, this right here. This is pretty crazy. This is an actual group. This is Center for Countering Digital Hate. And this is one of these groups that's Democrat funded, these Democrat groups. And what they do is they go and they report different YouTubers and people on social media and try to get their information taken down. And these are the guys that were able to take David Icke off of YouTube and deplatform him from other sites. David Icke, I've always thought controlled opposition. But even with that, still, when this stuff happens to him, or when they did this to Alex Jones and deplatformed him, I mean, I always feel like we're the targets. It's really the real people who are honest, earnest, truly genuine, trying to look into this stuff, and we're getting it and we're not liking it. We're the targets. A lot of these people are just kind of the controlled opposition, but still, He does put some truth out. Ike does, but that being said, we look, it's David Icke. Wow, it can't happen here. That's why I always say, man, some people will be like, you're a shill because you're still on YouTube and, only shills are on YouTube. It's like, no, man, don't you have any faith? This is where it comes in. I don't run around talking about, God all the time and, Jesus and all this. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not my style, but I do believe in the power of prayer, and that's what comes in. I'm always praying about protection over my work, not just on YouTube, but other places, and it's what it takes, Anyway, so Center for Countering Digital Hate grows. You may have seen this. This one's been making the rounds. This was on the BBC News. Check out what this lady says.
Protests were also requested at drive-through sites. Dame Donna Kinnair is the General Secretary and Chief Executive of the Royal College of Nursing, and she joins...
She's an executive at the Royal College of Nursing. Listen.
Joining us on BBC News. I wonder, Donna Kinnair, how do you feel about the government's plans to test all essential workers? Do you think that health workers should be given priority, or do you think that this is right?
So I think we need a stage where health workers are given priority, because actually it's health workers that have been providing care. So if I just take my example today, I've been at the Nightingale Hospital, and actually in order for us to go there, we do have to be tested if we're showing symptoms to be able to not take time off and to be able to deliver the right care for our patients. But just reference to your earlier conversation about lifting the lockdown.
Here.
We know that we haven't infected enough of the population with this virus. So
That was what you mainly needed to hear. We know that we haven't infected enough of the population with this virus. So that goes back to the news stories we keep seeing week after week. Why are they saying all these heroin patients who died of heroin overdose in this hospital, on the paperwork they're claiming it's C-19? Well, they're not the only hospital. A lot of these hospitals are being told to do that, to pump up the numbers for the virus, to make it seem more legit. It was more of a big deal, right? The virus, the Wuhan virus. Oh, and also, I just wanted to say a big shout out to Christian D. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thomas Kishman II, I said, Leslie Coffey, Caitlin Trigg, Cosmic Squirrel, Maggie Kemp, Cold Cheese 78. Cool name, Cold Cheese 78. I like my cheese cold. And Paula Hillier. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much for the super chats. Elizabeth Sabroso and Eli Vidales. I think I said those earlier. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you all. Much appreciated. Okay, here's a really cool, weird one. This is from Jimmy Walker. He's a pro golfer. But it's not really about him being a pro golfer. This is his Instagram. You see, he's just kind of a regular dude. Him and his lady, food pics, hanging out, good times. Meanwhile, there's this clip. Here's another one. I was talking about those kinds of UFO trends, where here's another one I've seen, and I wish I could find them, because sometimes I'll just find these in compilation videos, but I've seen several examples of this very, of this very thing. Something just doing this, this kind of UFO. Look at this. This is really crazy. I'll play it for a little bit. I mean, it looks like they're just, you can hear their vehicle running, and it looks like they're kind of a little path right there, maybe just off the side of the road, and this thing's just spinning around in circles. Crazy, huh? Pretty cool. That's on, if you want to watch that, Jimmy Walker PGA Instagram. Check that out, man. I have no idea what that was. William Lamb, you, sir. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Fortune teller is accused of swindling Bay Area kindergarten teacher out of home. This sounds like a story right up our alley. Let's check this out.
Some might wonder why anyone would hand over all their possessions to someone they barely know. But the perpetrators of complex financial
I'll start it over. Hold on.
seek out vulnerable people and possessions to anyone would hand over all their possessions to someone they barely know. But the perpetrators of complex financial scams often seek out vulnerable people and manipulate them over time. In this case, a group of fortune tellers allegedly cleaned out a Los Gatos kindergarten teacher, taking her $1.5 million home.
Everything is gone. I don't have anything. I don't even know where my belongings are.
Victoria Nelson never thought she'd be homeless at age 73. She lived in the same house for 40 years, but everything changed during a July 4th getaway near Mount Shasta. She met some so-called psychics who she says conned her and took her home.
And everything seemed really positive and good for me, you know. I made new friends.
Nelson is a free spirit. She loves to dance, believes in angels and psychic abilities. She connected right away with Mystic Michelle and her mother-in-law, Tammy Adams. The Sacramento area women began calling Nelson almost every day, meditating and praying with her over the phone. Adams sells psychic services and has YouTube videos in which she performs purported readings to strangers.
It's not the relationship I see you being happy with. Okay.
Nelson said Adams talked to her about angels, said they were speaking to her dead husband, and invoked Mother Teresa, the Pope, and Jesus. That's before things turned dark. Nelson said her new confidant slowly began telling her she was in danger.
In the end, I was fearful for my life. And then I was fearful to be near my loved ones because I feared for their life.
After months of being afraid, Nelson said she let Adams begin handling her finances.
Then she told me that I was going to be losing my home. And it was very upsetting to me. And she said, well, if you give me your house to the Angel Foundation, then we can help children.
Records show that Nelson signed her home over to the House of Angels Foundation last year. The foundation is a registered nonprofit operated by Tammy Adams and her husband Jim Adams. But whether the foundation does any charitable work is unclear. On its website, it lists ambiguous projects with no details. The charity also claims to be a church, so it's not required to file annual public returns with the IRS. A receipt from the Salvation Army shows that the foundation donated Nelson's furniture and jewelry in November, after it took her home.
I think it's absolutely sickening.
Emmanuel Townsend is a Bay Area attorney who recently took on Nelson's case. He sued Tammy and Jim Adams, along with Mystic Michelle, aka Michelle Marks, and the House of Angels Foundation. The lawsuit alleges the group committed physical and financial elder abuse and fraud.
These predators were quite sophisticated. I think this happened to an elderly woman, but I think this could happen to a lot of people, to anyone really.
We reached out to Tammy and Jim Adams multiple times. They live in a palatial gated community in Granite Bay outside Sacramento. They told the security guard they wouldn't come outside for an interview. They also didn't return multiple phone calls and messages.
Please leave a message and I will get back to you as soon as possible.
We also stopped by Adams' shop in Granite
Okay,
Bay.
that was pretty much it on that.
After signing away her home, Nelson said Adams told her to grab a week's worth of clothing.
Have you heard those stories? There's a lot of them out there. Happens all the time, and it happens a lot down in Central and South America, I believe, because I saw a lot of those kind of places set up, but where these psychics take advantage of people. You know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of those stories. And some of these psychics can make people do some really crazy things, even leading to crime, you know, like killing people and stuff like this. I've seen some of those stories too, you know, where a psychic's telling this lady, you know, it's time, you got to get rid of your husband. First, you got to get your will together. This was probably one of those investigation discovery stories I saw, but anyway. Sarah A., thank you for the super chat, my friend. Thank you. 3 teens arrested for vandalizing Salvation Army with anti-Christian messages. When people ask if I've ever been in the military before, I always say, yeah, I did 2 tours in the Salvation Army. And I'd rather not talk about it right now, the things I saw. Easter Seals, a couple of years, Special Forces with Easter Seals. I was a part of the Easter Seals team. I'd rather not talk about it. I saw some pretty bad things. And Tamara, thank you. Thank you too. The trio is accused of targeting the Danville Salvation Army building on Henry Street the night of April 21st with messages such as "I am God" and "lies" sprayed over a Bible verse on their sign. Antonio Dorotillo and Sierra Austin and an unnamed 15-year-old were arrested and charged for crimes after being caught by the Salvation Army's surveillance camera. I was a NAM. I saw some bad things. I hear you, bro. I did 2 tours in the Salvation Army. I'd really rather not talk about it. The police department said the same suspects also defaced another building in a separate incident in the same area, and the 15-year-old acted alone in defacing a third building. Police charged the suspects in those cases as well. All right. It's kids being little dirt bags. That's it. What's she gonna do? SJWs, that's social justice warriors, are mad Robert Downey Jr. used blackface in Tropic Thunder. Yeah. I figured it was just a matter of time. Have you ever seen Tropic Thunder? They're making a Hollywood movie in the movie. It's a movie within the movie. But in the movie, Robert Downey Jr. plays this kind of pompous Hollywood celebrity, that takes himself a little bit too seriously. And anyway, he's playing a black man, at one point here in the movie. And I'll just read some of the article. I was sitting here thinking of something else. There's a clip. I don't know if you can still find it. Maybe I'll just see if I can find it here real quick. You've got to see this. I think you guys will appreciate it. It's of these two. It's of Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. from the set of Tropic Thunder. But I'll try to find that in a second. Let's see. Of course, many things fail to pass the bar for wokeness these days, as seemingly innocuous things are deemed problematic. Even much-loved Robert Downey Jr. has been vilified for wearing blackface, a huge no-no in today's hypersensitive public arena, in a movie that was released 12 years ago. One tweet reminded social media, "Remember that time Robert Downey Jr. did full blackface and nobody said anything?" To which other commenters, less than impressed, tore apart a tweet accused of chasing clout. Okay. We get it. Let me see if I can type this in and find something. Hold on.
Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. Today,
that's just an old show I'd watched from a while back. It was just easier to jump into YouTube this way. Let me see. Ben Stiller, Robert Downey. There it is. Okay, man, check this out. Wait. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, it's got to be in there somewhere. But let me see if I can find the short, quick clip of it. Wow, okay. Oh, there it is. From the Illuminati 666, 9 years ago. This is probably the only place you'll ever find this at this point. Anyway, check this out. This is from Tropic Thunder, from the set of the movie. Just outtakes.
I'm tripping on them M&Ms. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Ha! Hot damn! I'm tired of this. Now you focus the fuck up, dude. Say it. You gotta say it. It's me, Tug. It's me, Tug. That's right. Now Tug who? Tug who? I don't know. Who are you? Me? I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. You a dude that don't know what dude he is. You're a dude who don't know what dude he is. Yes, I do. You don't know what dude you are. Sure I do. No, you don't. That's sure as fuck do. Sure you don't. I sure don't sure I am. Gotcha. Stop looking at me with them Illuminati eyes.
But they don't know what it is, right? Come on.
That's sure as fuck do. Sure you don't. I sure don't sure I am.
It's from 12 years ago.
Gotcha. Stop looking at me with them Illuminati eyes.
Stop looking at me with those Illuminati eyes. Just a Peach, great name. Thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate it. Y'all can find this on the Killuminati 666 channel. Wow, it's been around for a long time. So this is a July 21st, 2010 is when this was posted. It's the only one I could find of this. So I think it's worthy. Remember, there's even the footage. This goes back 12 years. It goes back to 2010. We didn't see the boom on YouTube. I mean, I started my YouTube channel in 2010 myself. So a lot of the Illuminati Exposed and all this came out later, you know. So this goes to show you just an example of, I mean, we know it goes back a lot further than this, but anywho, there's that. Oh, I thought this was pretty interesting. I didn't know about these two doctors had their video removed by the Tube, by Little Susan, but there's more. And this is where I first heard about it, was on this Tucker Carlson here. I know, you watching Fox News, you're a slave to the media. And it's like, no, it's not. Calm down. Calm down. I take, you know, story by story. All right. Relax. Come here. Take my hand. We've talked about you losing control like this. All right, here we go.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Last night on this show, we played you a clip from a nearly hour-long video produced by two physicians in California, Doctors Dan Erickson and Artin Masihi. Likely many of you had already seen it. That video has had more than 5 million views on YouTube. In their presentation, the two doctors presented a flurry of data pointing to what we are currently learning about this virus and how it spreads. They recited pages of government statistics and then interpreted them in light of their own long clinical experience as doctors. At one point, they noted that the newly adjusted death rate in their state of California, which is much lower than anyone expected it to be, and they asked if government officials there should change their policies based on this new science. Watch.
We've seen 1,227 deaths in the state of California with a possible incidence or prevalence of 4.7 million. That means you have a 0.03 chance of dying from COVID-19 in the state of California. 0.03 chance of dying from COVID in the state of California. Does that necessitate sheltering in place? Does that necessitate shutting down medical systems? Does that necessitate people being out of work?
So whatever your view of the mass quarantines, and maybe you're enthusiastically for them, the questions you just heard are valid questions. In fact, they're critical questions. We should all be asking those questions, including and especially our policymakers. But as Dr. Erickson pointed out later in the video, dissent of any kind is no longer tolerated in this country. Fact-based honesty, which is the soul of science, is under attack, even in hospitals. Dr. Erickson described physicians being pressured to classify illnesses and deaths as related to coronavirus, whether they believe that to be true or not.
See? We aren't pressured to test for flu, but ER doctors now, my friends that I talk to say, you know, it's interesting. When I'm writing up my death report, I'm being pressured to add COVID. Why is that? Why are we being pressured to add COVID to maybe increase the numbers and make it look a little bit worse than it is? I think so.
So what you just heard, what Dr. Erickson described, is called lying. And lying has no place in science ever. It's scary to think it takes place on a large scale in hospitals. He says it does. Viewers of Erickson's video were shocked and transfixed by this. They forwarded the video to friends who forwarded on to their friends. And suddenly, millions of people who have spent the last 6 weeks on a diet of Tiger King and internet memes were watching sober-minded medical researchers reading from charts of statistics. It's hard to recall a science video taking off like this one did. Not everyone was impressed by it. Some criticized the doctor's policy conclusions, and of course that's fair. Decent people have different opinions. We're not entirely certain what the perfect response to this pandemic is. Nobody is certain. There's no objective answer at the moment. At best, we can plod along with open minds and good faith. More informed debate is exactly what we need to make wise decisions going forward. Unfortunately for all of us, informed debate is exactly what the authorities don't want. They want unquestioned obedience, so they're cracking down on free expression. Last night, the doctor's video, the one you just saw, was pulled off of YouTube, the largest video hosting site in the world. It wasn't an accident. YouTube admitted doing it. The company cited a violation of, quote, community guidelines, and they did not apologize. Looking back, when all of this is finally over, and it will be, it's likely we'll see this moment, what YouTube just did, as a turning point in the way we live in this country, a sharp break with 250 years of law and custom. The two doctors' video was produced by a local television channel in California. It was, in effect, a mainstream news story. The video was not pornographic, it didn't violate copyright or incite violence or commit libel, it didn't break any law. The only justification for taking it down was that the two physicians on screen had reached different conclusions from the people currently in charge.
That's all. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I mean, points we've made here on the show, and we see it in the news every week, that they're lying about the numbers, of course. They're padding the numbers. Meanwhile, there's people out there who are truly, absolutely terrified of this. I saw a lady with her, I'm assuming her son, who must have been a young teenager, walking out of the grocery store the other day, and they both had their masks on, and as they're walking out, she's holding hand sanitizer, squirting a bunch in his hand, and then in her hand puts the sanitizer underneath her arm so she can feverishly wipe it all over her hands, and her son's doing the same thing. It's like they're just, chip off the old block, but just they looked scared even the way they were doing it. And it's just one, glance of somebody, a stranger I had, but how many people out there are really like that, are really living like this? You're just truly terrified right now, Dozens of hippies stuck at festival in Panama due to coronavirus realize collectivist utopia is actually hell. The Tribal Gathering Festival, billed as Paradise on Earth, was supposed to end on March 15th, but 40 Western hippies remain trapped at the site because Panama announced a national emergency due to the virus and placed them under quarantine. A subsequent ban on all entry and departure flights now means the hippies are likely to be stuck in paradise until the end of May. A Vice, I don't like Vice much, but a Vice documentary short about, occasionally they have some pretty interesting stories, but their politics are so obvious and so annoying, and just, the narratives they spin, I just can't. Every now and then there might be something interesting, but it's rare. A Vice documentary short about their plight shows attendees complaining about how they are stuck in hell as they struggle with bad weather and major sewage issues at the campsite. Like, this would be an interesting one, From Paradise to Hell. Vice, this would be, to me, an interesting one. At first, it was like a paradise, but when you're locked in, it's not paradise anymore, one person said. Vice reports the festival was designed to be a temporary paradise where people from Western cities could learn from indigenous communities about how to rebalance society and live in symbiosis with the earth. I've been to Panama many times. I got to tell you, man, that is a really beautiful place, really cool. The city, Panama City, reminded me of something out of Blade Runner. Just look up pictures online of Panama City. For whatever reason, that was my impression when I first was in a taxi heading with the ocean over on the side, just heading down the highway towards the main city. He's just like, wow, especially at night, it's really crazy looking too, but it's like they just don't stop building. It's like there's always something being built in Panama City. It's crazy. It's huge. It's huge. Patricia64, thank you so much, my friend, for the super chat. I appreciate you. However, any sense of communitarian oneness appears to have been washed away as attendees bicker and fight over food and territory. Don't try to steal our food. I'll get really upset with you, one organizer tells the rest of the crowd. And remember where you are. You're in my effing manor, he adds. This doesn't sound very hippie-ish. I've been camping on a beach for 80 days, said Doug Francisco, who led Extinction Rebellion. Oh, there you go. Climate change activists last year. While the festival was still going on, the police came in and tried to shut it down, he said. Food, cleaning products, and tobacco is all in short supply, with some hippies having to do manual labor to stay fed. Attendees deciding to visit the festival at the end of February despite serious government warnings against international travel and expectation, which was obvious by that time that the virus would devastate flight routes. We get it. From paradise to hell. I have to watch that. Terrible 13, you're awesome. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate you. Report, video game makes women androgynous to not offend trans women. Oh boy, here we go. Did you guys ever play The Last of Us, you gamers out there? No? Well, The Last of Us 2 has been alleged to deliberately make their female characters androgynous to not offend trans women. The allegations come in the same week as Naughty Dog suffered leaked from a disgruntled developer who dumped the game's plot online. The rogue employee is reported to have disagreed with the political direction of the game. There we go. You got an insider, a good guy. He says, nope. As The Last of Us 2 is allegedly set to portray a homophobic Christian couple as villains. There we go. Okay. Keeping in line with a hard left pro-LGBT narrative. Yep, there it is. There's your more propaganda. It's homophobic Christian couples. That's what a lot of this will hinge on. Their religion, the Antichrist spirituality and all that's going to look a lot like so-called Christianity. It's going to look a lot like it. That'll be one area where they're going to get you and get all of us, try to, is on the rainbow. But love is love, man. Love is love, brah. And it is such a touchy subject these days, isn't it? Well, that's why. I think this could be one of the most important subjects when it all comes down, will be that. And that's how can you be a Christian if you're think homophobia or if you think homosexuality is against God? And it's like, no, dude, that's what it says in the book. I didn't say it. I didn't write it. You know, it's against we're supposed to, you procreate. That's why you have sex. You procreate, or to share yourself with your husband or your wife or whatever. But it's not just purely for pleasure. That's all that homosexual type sex is. It's just purely for the pleasure of it. Right? In relation to the gameplay footage leak, speaking with Sausage Roll, the rogue developer said, I don't doubt even for a minute or for a moment that this leak came from the studio. The Last of Us Part 2 is very divisive, and as you can imagine, some of the team aren't really thrilled to be working on the game. See, there you go. It's kind of a smaller example of even, I'll think of Hollywood and talk about Hollywood, and I don't want to just condemn every single person. Like they're all, kissing Satan's butthole. We don't know that, and God's got good people or, people on his side, people with him scattered everywhere in every, kind of job you could have and you name it. The source goes on to talk about how stale the work environment has been at Naughty Dog and how so many people have had to bite their tongues because cancel culture is very much alive inside of the studio. I wonder if this is him talking about it.
Our response to this is totally irrational and totally...
No, I'm sorry. It's just it says many people would agree with me that this has been one of the worst projects they've ever had to work on. This is from the guy, the leaker. And that's not just because some people disagree with the plot. Even though some of the team members are Christians and don't necessarily agree with the game's message, they are also professionals and can put their personal politics aside to get the job done. What really sucks about all of this is the working environment. Troy Baker, the voice actor for one of the main characters, Joel, told Fandom, I don't doubt even for a moment this leak came from the studio. The Last of Us Part 2 is very divisive. He said that earlier. Following the revelation, other developers were reportedly upset by the divisiveness within the team and the clear political bend to the game's sequel. According to another AAA developer, the push to give characters a more androgynous look has become a recent addition to many games. Sausage roll reports. Sausage roll. I just picture a person that looks kind of like a sausage roll. It's like they're cute, you know? You want to have them around. They're cute. You know, they're also kind of grotesque, you know, and they don't look exactly human, you know, but they're also cute. It's like Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, if any of you understand that reference. The characters in The Last of Us Part 2 are designed in such a way to not make trans people feel uncomfortable. Every single new character introduced in the sequel does not have definitive feminine or masculine qualities. Ellie and Dina specifically have been remodeled to look less feminine. It even seems as if Ellie, has completely changed since they first revealed her in The Last of Us Part 2. The shift to make female characters appeal almost masculine has been dubbed the new norm. Speaking with Sausage Roll, reporting, Sausage Roll on the scene. Speaking with Sausage Roll, the androgynous developer said, "This is only true for trans people. A trans woman can't naturally grow large breasts, and not all trans people can afford implants. If you see a game where the women are a little less curvy, it's not because the game designers are worried about receiving backlash for sexualizing women. It's because they're worried about offending the trans community." Oh boy. What, less than 1% of the population? From a design standpoint, this is a really challenging problem. I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. You know what I'm not done with is Under Siege. Under Siege. Under Siege. Seriously, though, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thanks. World Health Organization guidelines. Remember, this is the organization all the celebrities did the concert with, and everybody wants us to bend a knee to. World Health Organization guidelines encourage children younger than 4 be taught masturbation and gender identity. What could go wrong? The World Health Organization's Standards for Sexuality Education in Europe, a framework for policymakers, educational, and health authorities and specialists. That's a long title. Advises children be taught about sexually pleasuring themselves and transgenderism before they're even fully learned to talk. The WHO advises that children ages 0 to 4 are given information about enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's body. Gross. Masturbation. Toddlers are also taught to be encouraged to gain awareness of gender identity. Oh my goodness. Pray for these children. I'm serious. Pray against this kind of stuff. This is disgusting. It's like the things, they always want to put their paws on the kids, don't they? They always want to get the children. So gross. So freaking gross. Daddy? Yeah, babe. What's a tranny? Crap. I was hoping we'd have to wait a few more years to get into that subject. Toddlers are also to be encouraged to gain awareness of gender identity and given the right to explore gender identities. Daddy. Yeah. I want to be puppy. That's cool. A girl puppy though. Oh, man. In the ages 4 to 6 bracket, educators are urged to give information about same-sex relationships and help children develop respect for differing norms regarding sexuality. So barf-worthy. It really is. So barf-worthy. Students in China return to school with social distancing headgear. Hopefully this comes to America like everything else happening in China. Maybe they can bring this to our classrooms. Hi. You want to be my friend? You guys see that picture okay? This is what they're actually doing. I wish there was video. Oh, maybe there is. Schools in China are slowly reopening after a long hiatus because of the you-know-what. Despite students returning to classrooms, social distancing guidelines and other preventative measures are being followed in reopened schools to prevent highly infectious disease. One school in the city of Hangzhou even found a novel way to enforce social distancing by letting the students wear do-it-yourself hats with 3-foot-long horizontal plumes extending on either side. Okay, let's see if there's a video here. Oh, goodness. This is actually happening. Oh my gosh. This is real. This is freaking real. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down. Just look at some of these. Oh my gosh. Idiocracy. It's idiocracy. I've been videos about this. We're living in idiocracy. I'm going to have to do a sequel. I keep finding stuff like this. We're living in idiocracy. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Goodness. Tyson Foods takes out full page ad. The food supply chain is breaking. So here's another one of those. This is an older story from the end of April, but still something to be watching for. Food supply. 30 doctors and nurses open up about the paranormal experiences they've had at the hospital. This is on thoughtcatalog.com. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read the whole thing because there's a ton in here, but I'll read some of these. Did I read these before? Can't remember if I showed you guys this last week or not. Let me see. All right, we'll just read some. All right, so here's one. Remember, this is 30 doctors and nurses open up about the paranormal experiences they've had at the hospital. Number one is, did a rotation in a burn unit. There are tons of stories that go around, but I'll share my favorite. A pimp lit one of his prostitutes on fire, and she immediately bear hugged him, causing them to both suffer pretty severe injuries. Unfortunately, hers included an inhalation burn. They both were being treated in the same ICU, but on opposite ends. Weeks later, she ends up coding and passes away. And after about 30 minutes, as things start to quiet down, the guy starts screaming from his room, "Get her out! Get the God DB out of my room!" Number two, I've worked in a small family-run nursing home for 6 years as a nurse aide. It was an orphanage before it became a nursing home, and unfortunately, before being shut down, the orphanage had a history of severe abuse and neglect. It's not gossip. The owner herself has told us. When residents get close to death, they always see a little girl. One of my patients was a very alert gentleman. He knew all our names and was very alert and oriented. I was passing dinner trays and saw that he had his back turned and was talking and laughing in the corner. I knocked and asked him who he was talking to, and he chuckled and said, "This little girl came into my room. She was scared." He died 3 days later. About 6 months later, had another patient screaming about a little girl grabbing his feet, and she needed to leave him alone. He died that night. She's come up over 10 years. It's always the same thing. They see her, and then they die. Other coworkers have had the same experience. It's very unsettling. It's another one. Man, this might be one I need to... I've still got a lot of stuff to go through, and we've been on here for a couple hours. I'm going to save this one, and maybe we'll just do that like a whole live show with... What is this? May? Yeah. I was going to think, do like a craziest videos from 2020 or this or that, but we're still pretty early in that. But I'll figure it out. But I'm going to save this one because these are pretty cool, pretty interesting. If you want to go ahead and read ahead, it's 30 doctors and nurses open up about the paranormal experiences they've had at the hospital. I also want to thank Stephen Barato for a super chat. Thank you, Stephen, very much. All right, so maybe we'll just do a live show just in an afternoon and just maybe just talk about this or just talk about weird stuff, like really weird paranormal stuff. Let's see. Miami man freaks out because of... Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Some language on this one. So be prepared. Always be prepared. But this guy is not having it. Check this out.
This is a false flag fake pandemic. You are in violation of my fucking constitutional rights and my civil rights. I've already fucking warned you. Fucking expect it. I'm filing a fucking class action lawsuit. You can take your fake fucking global terroristic false flag attack, shove it up your motherfucking ass. You're terrorists. You're in violation of my constitutional and civil rights. Fuck you, motherfucker. There's no pandemic. I'm filing a fucking lawsuit. I have a right to buy groceries without being forced to participate in your fucking terrorism. Fuck you.
Excuse me? You need to wear a mask. Do you understand that? To come in the store?
You're violating my constitutional
Okay, well,
rights.
this is private property.
This private fucking property has food. I have a right to buy food without being forced to participate in a fake global false flag pandemic. There's no pandemic. Fuck you. You motherfuckers are gonna get fucking mass arrested and fucking executed for fucking terrorism. Fuck you.
Get away if you don't give a shit. We have the right to give a shit that we care about. You go away.
Fuck you, bitch.
Fuck me, I don't give a shit. Then just go. Leave her alone. Then don't come here, no.
Oof, am I right? I mean, it's a very angry man there, but I think it's a sentiment that a lot of people can probably relate to. Jamila Carnes, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I do appreciate it. All right, what else we got up in here tonight? Hope you guys are doing well, by the way. Well, we've been over 2 hours, man. I never really pay attention as I'm going. I'll look down every now and then, but the time flies. You know, I enjoy doing these, and I always appreciate you guys being here as well. And just thank you, man. It's cool just to have a group here. The chat always goes really fast and crazy, but I'm glad you guys have a place to share your ideas and talk about all the crazy stories we watch. And Lady of the Woods, thank you for the super chat too. Thank you. All right, we're going to watch some of this. This is pretty powerful. I'll skip around a little bit here and there. But this is from the California police officers at anti-lockdown protest appeared to stand down after a Marine vet with megaphone challenges their integrity. Let's see what the video is. Here it is.
You know, you might lose your job, but I'd rather lose my job than lose my soul. Amen. I'd rather lose my job than lose my soul. Because what are you going to go tell your little boy or your little girl tonight? That you took a baton and you crushed somebody's skull that was a mob? Is that what a tough guy does? That's not what honor, courage, and commitment means in the Marine Corps. So the question is, do you say, you know, we always have in the military, we have what's a lawful order? And you got to check your nutsack when you're giving an order, and you got to say, is this a lawful order or is this a bullshit order? And when something's a bullshit order and it doesn't pass the sniff test, that's when you say sergeant, that's when you say colonel, that's when you say general, that's when you say governor. I'm not doing that. I didn't sign up for that. That's what it takes. So the question, I want each and every one of you to do a gun check right now. And there's guys over there that are lieutenants, and there's political games happening right now. People are talking about people, and somebody's looking at me with binoculars right now. Right? God bless them. Right? Well, what I want you to get is now is the time for you to decide. What side of history do you want to be on? I'm serious. Somebody's going to ask you that question. A bunch of people have video of everybody out here. It's going to be out in the media. And there'll be some fake news. But there's going to be some of you that hit somebody, that took Pastor Tim over there and you threw him to the ground like a piece of trash, and he was just standing there, and that's going to be on your conscience. And so this isn't a Republican thing. It's not a Democratic thing, even though Governor Newsom's making it that, so President Trump doesn't get back in the White House in 2020, and we get sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe in there. Right? But what I want you to get, this is a patriotic American thing. That's what's at stake right here. That's what we have. That's what's at stake. And so the question is, you got a steady paycheck coming in, but how many people right here, pardon my language, are getting fucked right now? How many people are getting fucked right now? And you guys are supporting that. You're endorsing that. By being here today and by pushing people back with those batons, you're endorsing that. You're saying, you know what? I'm okay with that.
We'll jump ahead some now.
Voice in the slick back here that wants to give 125. I don't know, not in my book. That's not what I heard in the Marine. Something doesn't pass the sniff test. And gentlemen, if the Geneva Convention says that I can't kill and children, and I said, yeah, I guess that's what being a tough guy's like. I don't know, not in my book. That's not what I heard in the Marine Corps. I heard that when there's an unlawful or immoral order,
you see them all start breaking up now, and I think they kind of turn and walk here.
in your stomach, and it's hard.
Well, I wish there's a clear shot, but yeah, I think they all kind of started walking away there. Good stuff. People got to stand up. You know, you can't let people shame you out of that. Oh, you can be one of those dumb rednecks going out there, and it's not that. That's not what it is. It's globalism or nationalism. You know, do you want to fight for your rights? You want to just let it happen, you know, or do you want to make a stand at least? Say you tried. You know, maybe you can make some changes. South Carolina woman arrested after coughing, licking hands, then touching food at store. South Carolina. Let me see if I can restart this. This looks like a news story, and it's buffering, it seems. Okay, let's check this out. Oh, it's one of those. Let's just read. A South Carolina woman was arrested after she coughed and licked her hands before touching several food items at a grocery store on Saturday, authorities said. Store surveillance shows Shanier Gibson Holiday, 38, coughing and licking her hands before pulling on freezer doors, gross, and touching food items throughout the store. She looks a little crazy, I think, right? I could see it. A little bit. I'm just dumb. You're being dumb. What are you going to do today? Dumb stuff. Dumb. Holiday was arrested and charged with aggravated breach of peace and food tampering. She was also cited for violating the state's home or work order, police said. She was in jail on a $100,000 bond. On Monday, she was charged after a similar incident at a sandwich shop. In that instance, Holiday ordered a sandwich, drink, and chips, then licked her fingers before handing the clerk money for her order. She also licked quarters before placing them in the tip jar before running out of the restaurant without her food. As she left the store, she reportedly said, "It's in God's hands now." Okay, now I can see the crazy. Now it's much more clear. Hi. Stop staring at me like that. I thought this was pretty funny. Here's something I'd watch. I did a video on Nicolas Cage on my KJ Osborne channel years ago called What Nicolas Cage Taught Me About Demonic Possession. I think that's what it was. And there's so much occult stuff surrounding him and even his son. I don't know if he still does it, but his son he's an artist and he's really talented, but he does super hardcore, heavy metal, satanic type, over the top gore type magazines. He used to. I don't know if he still does, but that's just one example. There's, as with a lot of these, Hollywood types, we do find some of them just immersed in this occult activities, satanic stuff. But even that, all that being said, I can separate these things. I look at people's gifts as something God gave them. The devil didn't give you a gift. The devil's got nothing good to offer. He might be able to give you some positions and maybe some opportunities, but these are God-given gifts. So, and I went to film school. I moved to Hollywood to be a writer and director, horror, sci-fi. Some of you guys know my story, but so I still have that kind of an imagination. But yeah, I watch movies and TV shows, and a lot of times I make videos about the stuff I'll find. But sometimes I won't see much in that department, but it'll just be an interesting movie or a funny movie. There may still be some kind of programming I see in there or some kind of messages, but I'll bypass it and just focus on, how good the story was written, like what a gift that was. It was nice to see quality writing, or how good an actor or actress someone can be. I can appreciate that. Or the soundtrack, how good the soundtrack is. And, an appreciation of certain elements of this. And Nicolas Cage is just one of those goofballs. He's so funny to watch. It's like reading Donald Trump's tweets. It's entertaining. It's a little crazy. It's kind of like a train wreck in slow motion sometimes, but it's funny. It's like it's a funny thing. But Nicolas Cage is just a character. He was in a movie, one of the most epic, over the top, insane horror type films I've seen in a long time. It was called Mandy, Mandy. It came out a few years ago. It's on, I think it's on Shudder. Maybe it's on some of those other, I don't know if it's on Netflix or not, but maybe. But it is crazy, over the top. He was perfect for the part. He's got another movie coming out soon called something Wrong in Wally's Wonderland. And it's going to be Nicolas Cage as a janitor at an amusement park where all of the AI robot live action type character things come to life and malfunction. And he's got to fight all these things. Apparently there's going to be like, chainsaw fights with him and characters like this and just total madness. Now, again, some of you are rolling your eyes and think this is all dumb. I come from a B horror movie type background type thing. Even in New York, when I moved there before I went to Hollywood, I worked for a while with Fangoria and also with Trauma Team. They did Toxic Avenger and Sergeant Kabuki Man Must Die. Oh, no, wait. Surf Nazis Must Die. And then Sergeant Kabuki Man was its own thing. And a bunch of goofy, over-the-top B movies. But that was always kind of my scene even before that. So I have an appreciation for some of this weird, over-the-top stuff. Like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's classic. I love that movie. It still stands up to this day to me. Still just so weird and interesting and funny, quirky. Anyway, Nicolas Cage to play Tiger King's Joe Exotic in scripted series from American Vandal showrunner. I could see it. I can actually see it. I could see him playing Joe Exotic. If anybody could play Joe Exotic, I guess it'd have to be Nicolas Cage. The 8-episode series is being produced by Imagine Television Studios at CBS Television Studios. It'll be taken to market in the coming days. It's based on the Texas Monthly article Joe Exotic, A Dark Journey into the World of a Man Gone Wild. CBS TV Studios optioned the article in June 2019. Dan Lagana will serve as writer and write all the official stuff. We'll see. Several Wendy's locations are not able to serve burgers due to beef shortage. It's the headline there. Fast food grocer industries have been impacted by the supply shortage. This is from May 5th. So another one of those I'll cover when we do like the live show on the aftermath. But another one of those trends we're watching with food. This is pretty crazy. Canadian cops took down a teenage girl in a stormtrooper costume over a toy gun. Canadian restaurant's Star Wars Day promotion went horribly awry when a group of bumbling cops arrested a teenage employee dressed as a stormtrooper carrying a toy gun. The Lethbridge Police Service in Alberta said they received 2 911 calls on Monday about a person in a stormtrooper costume with a weapon outside the Cocoa Vanilla Galactic Cantina, a Star Wars-themed restaurant. Video circulating on social media showed 2 squad cars and at least 3 officers surrounding the costumed 19-year-old with their weapons drawn. I need to see this video. Okay. So dumb, right? So dumb. Oh, just when you thought these internet TikTok trends or whatever couldn't get dumber, check this out. TikTok users are taking part in a pee your pants challenge where they stand in front of a mirror and wet themselves after one man said he began the trend as a parody. Social media user, we just read that. The first video appeared on TikTok when Liam Wire filmed himself saying pee your pants challenge before appearing to wet himself as a gray patch appears on his shorts and there's a disturbing sound of liquid. Liam said he was surprised the trend has caught on as others on the video sharing platform post clips using the hashtag showing their own efforts. Oh my gosh. Honk honk, guys. Seriously, honk honk. It means there's now a string of videos showing people, mainly men, saying pee your pants challenge in front of a mirror, and you guessed it, peeing their pants. That's all I need to know about that. Wow. Man, people. Wow. Anything. Lemmings, you know. Mom criticized by parents after putting trashy acrylic nails on her baby. Just some of these pictures. Look at this little baby hand. Can't make that picture any bigger, but you see that? That's just so tacky. So wrong. Dog sees himself in the news and has priceless reaction to his TV appearance. This isn't a video, so. Woman can't wear shoes or go for a run because of her extra long toenails. These are just some kind of oddities. Look at this lady's toenails. I think it's on Instagram. It's not loading. Here, maybe it's because it's blocked. Let's see. Let's try this. We need to see this woman's toenails. That's too bad, man. I knew there were pictures at one point. Oh, there we go. Barely, it's weird. I don't know. You can't really see, but better. Anyway. Okay, whatever. That didn't work out. It's fine. Move on. Elon Musk and Grimes, that's his girlfriend, their newborn son's bizarre name explained. Let's see what it's called. Elon Musk and Grimes' baby name selection is unique. You can't deny that. After all, most baby names aren't accompanied by a thorough bullet point breakdown by their mom on Twitter. But that's the case with little XAEA12 Musk, who was born earlier this week to Musk and his singer girlfriend, soon after the Tesla and SpaceX head honcho shared his newborn son's name on Twitter, and lots of people have been confused ever since. Let me see if I can find this thing where she's trying to explain it. It's not. Grimes looked to clear up some of the confusion late on Tuesday evening, tweeting a full explanation of what the name means. Try and follow along. It starts off easy enough with X, just meaning the unknown variable. AE, Grimes said, is just her Elven spelling of AI, which can mean either artificial intelligence or the Chinese word for love. Wow, that's interesting. Chinese word for love is AI. Interesting. A-12 is simply an ode to her and Musk's favorite aircraft, the A-12 recon plane that was used in the mid-60s. No weapons, no defenses, just speed. Grimes explained about the A-12, which could hit speeds of more than 2,000 miles per hour in its heyday. Great in battle, but non-violent, she said. On top of that, A also stands for Archangel, which Grimes said is her favorite song. Most fans believe she was referring to the song by Burial, a British electronic artist she's praised in the past. All right. Weird. It's this one. Oh, yeah, check this out. This is Texas governor deploys tanks and military to round up and jail all citizens exercising peaceful assembly. Crazy this is in Texas too. Of all places, I would think Texas would have been the the last to do stuff like this, but I was wrong. The little tyrant inside a lot of these mayors and governors.
It's getting investigated. Check that out. Hey, anybody has a phone, put your hands up. Put your hands up. Keep them down, I can see them.
Well, for whatever reason, there's like some kind of a filter over that. But anyway, get to see some of that. Fauci knew about HCQ in 2005. That's another interesting article here on you-know-who, everybody's favorite doctor, right? How did he know this? Because of research done by the National Institutes of Health, of which he's the director. Wait, what is this? Dr. Anthony Fauci, whose expert advice to President Trump has resulted in the complete shutdown of the greatest economic engine in world history, has known since 2005 that chloroquine is an effective inhibitor of the you-know-what virus. How did he know this? Because of research done by the National Institutes of Health, of which he's the director, in connection with the SARS outbreak caused by a crown virus dubbed SARS-CoV. The NIH researched chloroquine and concluded that it was effective at stopping the SARS-C virus in its tracks. The C19 bug is likewise a crown virus labeled SARS-CoV-2. While not exactly the same as SARS-CoV-1, it is genetically related to it and shares 79% of its genome, as the name SARS-CoV-2 implies. So you would think you could use the same and it would have the same effect, the same vaccine. They both use the same host cell receptor, which is what viruses use to gain entry to the cell and infect the victim. The Virology Journal, the official publication of Dr. Fauci's National Institutes of Health, published what is now a blockbuster article on August 22nd, 2005, under the heading, get ready for this, chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS crown virus infection and spread. Wow. Write the researchers, we report that chloroquine has strong antiviral effects on SARS-CoV infection of primate cells. These inhibitory effects are observed when the cells are treated with the drug either before or after exposure to the virus, suggesting both prophylactic and therapeutic advantage. So this means, of course, that Fauci has known for 15 years that chloroquine and its even milder derivative, hydroxychloroquine, will not only treat a current case of the virus, but prevent future cases. So HCQ functions as both a cure and a vaccine. In other words, it's a wonder drug for the virus. Makes you wonder why everybody's been against it. The mainstream media is very much against it, right? Little Susan from our favorite YouTube has made sure they've been taking videos down that have been promoting this and talking positively about it. Interesting, eh? These are the people. Oh, what? I guess got to unblock these guys. CNBC. Blech. These are the people Facebook put in charge of deciding whether to delete controversial posts. Facebook announced the first 20 members of its oversight board, which are basically czars. That's the way I see it. The board is an independent body that can overturn the company's own content moderation decisions. Czars. Facebook said the board will begin hearing cases in the coming months. Unbelievable. Facebook on Wednesday announced the first 20 members of its oversight board, an independent body that can overturn the company's own content moderation decisions. The oversight board will govern appeals from Facebook and Instagram users and questions from Facebook itself, although it admitted it will have to pick and choose which content moderation cases to take due to the sheer volume of them, of course. A lot of them will be selectively forgotten, I'm sure. The board will receive cases through a content management system that is linked to Facebook's own platforms. They will then discuss the case as a group before issuing a final decision on whether the content should be allowed to stay up or not. Unbelievable, man. Wow. Goodbye, First Amendment. Now, we've been seeing all the rotting away anyway for a while, but said, man, these people are just, they're all in on power, all in on the power grab in all these different ways, any way they can. They're all in. The board will receive cases through a content management system that is linked to Facebook's own platforms. They will then discuss the case as a group before issuing a final decision on whether the content should be allowed to stay or not. Wow. Facebook announced it was creating the independent board in November 2018, just after a report was published in the New York Times that detailed how the company avoided and deflected blame in the public conversation around its handling of Russian interference and other social network misuses. The members are a globally diverse group with lawyers, journalists, human rights advocates, and other academics. Between them, they are said to have expertise in areas such as digital rights, religious freedom, conflicts between rights, content moderation, internet censorship, and civil rights. Oh boy. Czars. It's a global group now. Now you get to go through a global group. You see how it's all coming together. It's that Antichrist system, man. One world system. Now you get to go through a global group who determines your religious freedom, what kind of digital rights you've got. Should they censor you? Does your video get to stay? Notable members include Alan Rusbridger, former editor-in-chief of the Guardian newspaper, and Andras Saho, a former judge and VP of the European Court of Human Rights. Helle Thorning-Schmidt, a former prime minister of Denmark, is one of the board's 4 co-chairs. Up until now, some of the most difficult decisions about content have been made by Facebook, and you could say Mark Zuckerberg, she said on a call with the press on Wednesday. Facebook has decided to change that and put it in the hands of a global group. It's just a smaller reflection of the bigger picture, ultimately what they want. Everything will be global. There'll be a world court. I believe that's on the Georgia Guidestones, isn't it? The world court. There'll be a world court formed of people from all over the globe. And they'll determine. Are you going to be a part of their system? Are you abiding by the rules and the laws? Or are you going to be an outcast? The board will begin hearing cases in the coming months. It will eventually have around 40 members, which Facebook will help pick. It's one thing to complain about content moderation and challenges involved. It's another thing to actually do something about it, said Jamal Green, co-chair of the board. These problems of content moderation really have been with us since the dawn of social media. And this really is a novel approach as opposed to just freedom of speech. The move could help Facebook avoid accusations of bias as it removes content deemed problematic. Some lawmakers and conservative speakers have said that Facebook censors politically conservative points of view, a claim the company rejects. All right, we get it. I don't need to hear all their stuff. Here's the list of people. I don't know if I recognize any of these names when I was looking at this recently. The full list of members include, this is the new global group that's going to determine in different cases on Facebook if your content is allowed to stay up. Is it truthful? Is it safe? Is it going to hurt anybody or not? This is the group. I'm just trying to see here if any. Nope, I don't recognize any of them. Well, there you go. We'll see. It's a global group. Just a reflection of the bigger. This is just a little pool, but there's a bigger pond nearby. It's just a reflection of that. Everything will be in the hands of a global group, a global court. It's going to be a global religion where the world can be as one. You'll see. You're going to love it. Calm down. This was from Ventura County Health Department. And it's from May 6th. Check out what this guy says. This is the, is it the mayor? Anyway, This is the Ventura County, California Health Department. Ventura County, by the way, is beautiful. When I first moved out to Los Angeles, my best friend at that time, he and his wife moved to Ventura. They started off there. I started off in Burbank. But I always enjoyed on the weekends when I wasn't working, driving down the highway and going to Ventura. Those of you from out the area know what I'm talking about. When you take that real big dip, like there's that huge hill when you're going into Ventura, and it's like, bam, to me, it's like just a ride, just a big ride going down that huge hill. You see all the farmland out there, and then you can even feel the temperature drop as you get down there, and real pretty. I always loved the weather down there. Just always around 70-ish or so is kind of perfect. Real cool area. Anyway, enough about Ventura. Check this out.
We are beginning a program today which will certainly grow into something larger and larger, and that is a community contact tracing program. We've done contact tracing all along. That a contact is a person who's been exposed to someone that we document to have the COVID infection. When we find someone who has a COVID infection, those people are immediately isolated. But we also work with them to figure out who their contacts were. But the purpose of this program is to bring on people. We may bring on up to 50 or even more as the program grows and as we see the needs for it. As we do more testing, we will find more and more people who have COVID-19. And again, we'll isolate every one of them, and we will find every one of their contacts, and we will make sure that they stay quarantined, and we'll check in with them every day. We're going to do a more complete job, and we're going to do a more meticulous job of making it less and less possible for others in the county to run into someone with COVID-19 infection.
Oh my gosh, man. Seriously, do you see the nightmare forming? You see the nightmare forming? More of that contact tracing. Oh man, and the Karens are going to line up. The Karens are going to line up for this. Hi, we need people to volunteer to basically be detectives and spies for us, really more detectives and police officers in a way, law enforcement. But go find these people and everyone they've been in contact with and them, and let's find these people, let's round them up, and let's take them to camps and isolate them, quarantine them. We can't let anybody out there getting this C-19. It's a terrible thing. So that's what we're going to do. Does anybody out there want to do that? Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of people. It's going to love doing this. Neighbor turning against neighbor, family turning against family members. Dogs and cats living together, chaos in the streets. What's this? Oh, China launches crusade against Christianity, begins to remove crosses from churches across the country. Look at that. The Chinese government has decided to forcefully remove more than 2,000 crosses from churches across China as part of a government campaign to regulate excessive religious sites. According to the reports, the Communist Party of China has decided to pull down crosses atop of churches across the country as part of its post-C-virus crusade against Christianity. Here's one to keep an eye on, because this is, it starts in China. Well, we're seeing a lot of Americans' religious rights being trampled on right now, too. Right? So, has decided to pull down crosses atop the churches across the country as part of its post-C-virus crusade against Christianity. The campaign is reportedly aimed at eradicating Christian landscape and its symbols from China. The nation's leadership has launched the crusade to eradicate Christianity in various provinces for 2 years now. Several members have been arrested for attempting to halt the government's crude attempt to suppress the Christian faith. Reportedly on Easter Sunday, the Chinese authorities ripped down the cross that used to surmount the tympanum of a church in the Diocese of Xinjiang in Henan province. A blogger priest, Father Shanren Shinfu, said that silence in the face of the destruction of crosses is part of the price to pay for the Vatican's agreement with the CCP on the appointment of bishops in the country. There you go, our Catholic friends. That's something you can, I don't know, do you call the Vatican? Do you write them? Do you email them? I don't know. But let them know that's not good. The provisional agreement allows the Pope to appoint and veto bishops appointed by the Chinese Communist Party. The agreement aims to merge the state-run open church with the underground church loyal to the Vatican. Now when a cross is removed, Christians must be calm and smile, said Father Shinfu. He added, accepting the removal of the crosses as an everyday event, therefore, seems to be the only great contribution that the Chinese Catholic faithful and all the people of God can make to the continuation of the Sino-Vatican agreement. The priest said if anyone was angry about the destruction, he would be considered a criminal. The authorities removed the cross from Our Lady of the Rosary Church in the Diocese of Anhui on April 18th after parish leaders unsuccessfully petitioned local authorities for permission to carry out repairs on the building. The officials denied the permission, saying the plan is to remove all crosses from Christian churches in the area, both Catholic and Protestant. In a separate incident, authorities arrived at a church in Suzhou City belonging to the same Anhui diocese on April 19th and removed the cross from that church as well. Similarly, authorities removed the cross from a historic Christian church in Hefei on April 27th. The Hefei Christian Church, Hefei City's largest Christian church, was founded by American missionaries sent by disciples of Christ to China in 1896. Wow, 1896. HCC was the second victim of cross removal in Hefei City as Chinese authorities removed the cross from Faixi San Church on April 15th. Man, just on a tearing these things down. Generally, the security forces oversee such pre-dawn operations and make sure that people cannot enter the church, gather outside, or take pictures of the demolition. A priest from Anhui, identified as Father Chen, said that the authorities use the same routine and tactics all across China. This is not the case of a particular diocese or province. It's happening all over the mainland. But the mainland church is silent, he added. If the churches don't unite to resist, many more crosses will be removed, the priest declared. The church leaders in China have offered no resistance to the removal of crosses out of fear of losing the church building itself. In 2015, the Chinese province of Zhejiang had banned placing crosses on church rooftops and had ordered to remove hundreds of rooftop crosses from Protestant and Catholic churches in an effort to prevent leaders from restoring the Christian symbol to the top of the buildings. Since October 2018, hundreds of crosses across China have been removed in the campaign against Christianity. In October 2019, a church in Guangdong County in Hebei was demolished because it was accused of illegally occupying cultivated land. In 2020 alone, the crosses of two churches in Kui County and Hebei have been removed. Wow, how about that for Christian persecution? The struggle is real in China. Okay, language alert. But this girl's losing it. This is a young mother, and she's losing her stuff here. Check this out. She just keeps ranting and going off, but I'm sure a lot of other people are feeling that way. I mean, this isn't something to mock her or make fun of. It's just think about it, man. There's people out there truly struggling. You know, if you're not one of those people, it might be easy to not think about, you know, or just take everything else for granted. But yeah, man, there's millions of people in these kinds of situations. They're really hurting, you know, out there and panicking, you know, some crazy situations. That's why I really feel it is kind of a time of miracles. You know, I've said that about all this too. It can be for people. So this right here was kind of disturbing to me. I'm not going to play any of the video. I just want to show you this. That's Paul Joseph Watson. I've been subbed to him just for many years. You know, there's a lot of these old timers have been around for a long time. I'm still subscribed to Mark Dice, another one been subscribed for years. back when he actually used to talk about all the Illuminati stuff and the occult stuff, and then that all changed. But still, you still stay subscribed to some of these folks. My feelings on Paul Joseph Watson, I've enjoyed watching his videos. They're pretty entertaining, and whatever. I don't really take much stock over him or anything. I'm not a fanboy, or anything like that, but I'm subscribed. But what I'm not a fan of is that hat, though. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose to try to trigger people, but he's wearing a hat that's just rows and rows and rows of pentagrams. I'd like to think that of all people, he would know better. He did work with Alex Jones for many years, and Alex Jones, in the very beginning of his career, mainly focused on occult type things, exposing symbols very early on. And then he kind of abandoned all that for more political stuff, of course, over the years, mostly. But I'm just saying, Paul Joseph Watson's been around long enough where he has to understand the basics of the symbols. I don't know, man. Is he trying to be funny? Is he showing his true allegiance, right before our eyes? Or he's a funny, goofy, witty kind of guy. So, I could see him trying to do that as a joke as well. I don't know. But what are your thoughts? I don't think it's funny. I wouldn't play with stuff like that. Just understanding how sensitive many people are to this stuff. You know what I mean? It's just, if anything, maybe it's just a really bad choice, dumb move. Or, is he one of them, so to speak? And we know that part of their shtick is they have to reveal themselves, but they always are able to do it in coded, hidden kind of ways. Backmasking falls into some of that stuff with music and the symbols. Michelle Obama having children was a concession that cost her his dreams. Unbelievable, these people. Just lie after lie. I put some stuff in the movie about this, but if you didn't know, if you're new to all this, you should look up who Sasha and Malia's real parents were. Who's Sasha and Malia's real parents? And go down that rabbit hole if you've never been down that one. But it's a couple that's really close friends with the Obama. Real close, been friends for years. And you can do a side-by-side picture of that couple and Sasha and Malia, and it's obvious that these are their parents. In fact, the mother, the friend of the mother, she was actually the doctor that apparently, as they say, delivered the children for Michelle or Michael Robinson. So those are some fun rabbit holes if you've never been down those. But yeah, check some of that out. Kentucky Fried Chicken employee. I think we saw that earlier. This is a protest, I believe, in Oregon about getting people wanting to go back to work.
2020, that previous 3 years at this time. Think about that. Hey, open it now!
We gotta get this state back to work, and that means getting the right people as your representatives, as your leaders. Because right now we have a real failure of leadership. That man in that house is filled with the worst kind of people.
When you realize what's going on in this country, okay, you understand that they're shutting down, and overnight they literally suspended the entire Constitution. You guys understand that, right? You guys understand that? They're going out and they're arresting pastors for worshiping out in the open, right? They suspended your right to worship overnight, just like that. If they continue to keep this economy shut down, okay, there's going to be a tipping point, and our country will be absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. As usual, living in, honk, living in circus world and clown world, we find more truth in media from Russia Today, which is an open about it too, a literal wing of the Russian government. It's funded by the Russian government. but we find more truth in their. I reference more of their news stories than I do anything else. But all they have to do is tell the truth. That's the other thing. All they have to do is tell the truth about the story now, because our media in America never tells the truth, lies about everything. Now all Russia Today has to do, instead of being propaganda and lying about things, they just have to tell the truth. That's edgy. It's edgy now, just showing the truth about things happening in America, without an agenda, without a narrative attached, without explaining one way or the other, just showing you kind of what's happening and all this. But I don't know. I'm rambling. This was an interesting picture. Mother Teresa, who sold babies and was used in photo ops throughout the 1980s when she was pushed on us as a saint. And that's Dr. Fauci standing right next to her. Might want to look that up. I don't know. People can Photoshop stuff, of course, but if that's real, that's interesting. If he was somehow connected to Mother Teresa, I don't know. Oregon DHS announces plan to confiscate children and foster parents test positive if foster parents test positive for the C virus and deemed unable to provide for them. I'm going to save that one. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, I guess that's it. This is the executive order. This is from the state of Oregon, extending the C-19 declaration of emergency for an additional 60 days through July 6th, 2020. Wow. It's from Kate Brown, the governor. That's Oregon. Man, that sucks. Sorry, Oregon. But that's why the people in Oregon are out there in the streets. Pro-lifers arrested for giving moms roses at Naughty Operations Center during C-19. Kentucky parents of 7 children investigated for abuse because they didn't practice social distancing at a bank. Early in March, when a homeschooling family in Kentucky returned home from running errands in town, 2 officials from CPS, an investigator and a law enforcement officer, were waiting, demanding to interview their children and examine them for bruises. Why did this happen? Short version, that day, mom and dad had gone to the bank with 5 of their kids. The bank staff criticized them for bringing so many people in the building in light of the C-19 social distancing guidelines. So the dad stood aside with the children while the mom transacted their business. That's it. The incident offers some important takeaways. First, with tensions heightened and stay-at-home orders generally in place during the current health crisis, you call it a health crisis, some people may be more likely to report out and about children as possible victims of neglect or abuse. Second, this family's experience confirms the need for CPS reform, something HSLDA has been advocating for years. Anyway, that's a long article I don't feel like reading right now, but we get it. We see that where that leads. This is a petition. Their goal is, well, looks like they've already passed it since I've got this page up. Urge Florida Attorney General to investigate abortion facility and horrific Pornhub trafficking case. By now, most people are aware of the terrible story of a 15-year-old Broward County, Florida girl whose repeated assaults, sex assaults, were recorded on video and posted to Pornhub by her trafficker. Her ordeal kept her from her family and from school for nearly a year. In spite of federal and state laws that require mandatory reporting of child sex abuse, sexual exploitation, and trafficking, staff at the abortion facility almost certainly failed to alert authorities to a probable case of human trafficking. Based on all available evidence, it appears that the abortion facility staff also refused to follow Florida's parental notification law before performing the operation. This particular facility's apparent negligence likely cost this 15-year-old victim several months of freedom and forced her to endure unspeakable things that no one, especially a child, should have to endure. I don't want to read the rest of that, but if you're interested, this is on lifepetitions.com, and it's urge Florida Attorney General to investigate, the rest. Mother detained and fined $880 for letting daughter use park swing. They put handcuffs on my mom. I think this has a video. Yeah.
Two officers approached us and told us that we were breaking.
And they put handcuffs on my mom.
A mom says she was cuffed, searched. Like where I was coming from and all of this mental health. The lockdown, 2 months being inside with my daughter with no support. They proceeded to call backup. The sergeant showed up here. Same thing. I tried to discuss it with him. He didn't want to hear it. He grabbed my arm, took my backpack off, proceeded to put me in handcuffs, separated me from my daughter. I was taken up to the police vehicle where...
I'm not going to play more because we know where all this leads, but now these are, again, more of these trends, and now we're in the aftermath of the event. The power of control is put in the hands of the governors and mayors, select few. We're really, really depending a lot now on these people, and they're getting power unlike anything they've ever had before. So will this stuff continue? Will it get really bad in some places where the people need to try to fight back, or what? Will this be, are these the beginnings, the seeds of another kind of civil war? Could it be? I don't know. Not so much the black-white thing, but it'll be more left versus right would probably be a part of it. Extremist left versus right. And, of course, ultimately, Christian versus, or just really not even just Christian, anybody who doesn't want to take the digital ID or vaccine or whatever the heck form it comes in, versus those who do, like an invasion of the body snatchers thing. All right. And this right here. Hey, man, no way. I just got, Effie just told me that chat's saying Jeff Z got pulled. So I didn't know about that. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to hit him up maybe on Skype a little later and find out what's going on. But thanks for letting me know. Doctor with absolutely no F's left to give grabs a microphone and absolutely destroys. And this is what he said. Let's see here. Check this out.
What if quarantining the healthy doesn't actually save lives? What if wearing a mask in public is not effective? My name is Dr. Jeff Barkey, and I'm here representing thousands of physicians across the country whose voices are being silenced because we don't agree with the mainstream media and the experts who are telling us what to do. Never in the history of this great republic have we quarantined the healthy. Never in the history of this great republic have we told churchgoers that it's illegal for you to exercise your First Amendment right of freedom of religion. Yet at the same time, it's essential to keep pot dispensaries open. Never in the history of this country have we been told that you can't go to church because it's not essential, but you can go get an abortion because that's essential. Never before in our country have we let criminals out of jail, but we've told you you can't exercise your Second Amendment right and protect yourself by purchasing a firearm. When liquor stores are deemed essential, but your businesses are deemed non-essential, there's something wrong going on. This booklet, the Declaration of Independence and our U.S. Constitution, was was never designed to restrain the people. It was designed to restrain the government.
Bravo, good sir. I'd say that's on Philip Anderson, or at King Free Speech on Twitter, if you want to check that out. And that's the final story of the week. So let's check out the chat here real quick. Let's throw up the fire there on screen. Hey, man, guys, thank you so much for being here once again. Thank you all so much for your generosity with the super chats. I really appreciate it. Moderators, thank you so much. Hope you all enjoy the show. We had a lot to go through, that's for sure. I've got a couple videos almost done. One will be up over the next few days, and then the next will be up this week. So keep your eyes open for those, please. Got a live show planned where I just want to talk more about the aftermath of this, kind of where all this is going to go now. Now they've had the event, what all is going to come out of it. We're starting to see a lot of clues and a lot of obvious stuff too. I also want to thank the moderators, as always. Thank you. Big shout out to my Patreon and PayPal supporters, folks. Thank you so very much. Again, thank you to the super chats as well. I appreciate your generosity, y'all, and just thank you. If you want to support the channel, Patreon or PayPal, there's links below. Sponsors down there as well. It's Emergency Food Supplies. Good company. I've bought from them twice myself. You can check them out yourself if you're interested. For My Patriot Supply, you can get 2 weeks of food, 25-year shelf life for under $100, or a month worth, 25-year shelf life for under $200. So check it out. I also like to leave on a short prayer, guys, if you don't mind. So I'll just throw that out there real quick and say, Heavenly Father, thanks again for providing us a place like this where we can all come together. We can all discover all these different topics together and discuss them and explore all these things. And I just pray you help us to always keep it in the right context and right frame of mind, not to be in fear of any of these kinds of things. We're curious. We're just watching and waiting. So thank you, Lord, for that. And please be with all those people out there who may be in those really panicked situations, and maybe they feel like they're losing it, you know. And please, Lord, a lot of people out there definitely need your peace that you can provide. So thank you for that. And on that note, I love you. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Hey, thank you once again for being here. Much appreciation to you. Tell your friends about the show, share if you like, and all that stuff. I never ask you guys for that. You just do it anyway. It feels weird asking you to share my shows. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to quit. Hey, guys, Chubb says goodnight too. Not literally, but in spirit. And you guys take care. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.